Hydrogen!
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday, the 31st of May, 2014. I'm your host, Dan Trade. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Yes!
And Zachary Burgess.
Hopefully it won't be so hot this week. No, I think that's a given.
Was it super hot last week for you guys?
It was super hot. Not the game, but it was pretty warm. Yep, exactly.
But do you really prefer it all, like, sort of grey as it currently is?
No, I like
for
it.
recording purposes.
I like it sunny and cold. I like it
sunny and cold.
No, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I like the impossible.
It's not impossible. Just go to like a ski resort or whatever. In like.
Well, that might be my France. Ideal holiday if ever I decide to do that.
If ever you have a holiday.
Yeah, if ever I have a holiday and have the megabucks needed to go snowboarding.
Well, obviously you're a snowboarding expert at this point after all the Ipswich slopes.
Yes.
What's going on with that?
Agree.
Anyway? Have you been back for a while?
I haven't done it since, but I'm sort of a little scared to because I'm in that sort of weird, I don't know, middle skill zone where it's like, I say middle skill. I've still got no skill because I can sort of hold a basic stopping pose and drift down sideways. But as soon as I go flat or, like put my board to it properly as you're supposed to, it's then steering from that position.
Right.
I can't seem to do.
So you now know enough to be able to effectively kill yourself with the step.
Yes.
Right.
I'm now a dangerous board.
Excellent. Snowboarding.
And it's like, and as I say, last time I tried, like you pick up enough speed for it to actually start hurting when things go wrong.
Yeah.
So the last lesson I had, I sort of hurt my wrists a couple of times. And it got a bit nasty after that.
Is it more dangerous to some extent on those dry slopes than it is on?
I think for the point where I was at, as I say, it was trying to stop from going. From putting the board straight, flat to the snow, getting up some speed, and then stopping from there was where I had problems. So technically, this stopping maneuver is probably the worst thing to do on a dry slope, I think.
Right, okay.
Because it's like, well, if you're thinking about it, stopping, if you screw it up on a board, you either sit down, which is not so bad, or you face plant, which is really bad. Yeah. And it's like, and then your hands go out and you try and stop yourself, but then of course they may catch on the sort of giant chicken wire nature of the dry slope material.
The dry slope stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, at that point, falling over is just nasty on it.
Right. Yeah.
But it's fine if you don't fall over. So I don't know. I don't know really what to do about it because it's just the stopping that's hard, and I don't know if I'd need to go back and have like a private lesson just to focus on that, or
maybe
technically you're. I don't know if I'm technically, although they said at the end of the lesson, like, okay, you're now free to come back whenever you want during our evening sessions, and train up your skills a little bit. And I'm like, really? Because I'm sure last time I heard someone randomly turn up, like while I was waiting around to do, it's like they ask, can you link your turns? And it's like, well, I can't turn. So does that mean I'm technically allowed?
I'm linking everything I'm doing. There's no turns going on at all.
So I don't know. I don't know what state I'll be allowed back. And it's super annoying because obviously Gnome skis quite well.
Yeah.
So I can't really ask her for help because she doesn't board.
Because she doesn't board. Are you attracted to skiing at all, or do you do that? Or
maybe, but it was like the learning process for it was harder. Then getting started with the board, I found not so bad once I picked up the strength in the right places.
Right.
But learning at skis, that just made my legs needed to bend in ways that they don't bend.
Right. Okay.
Like they force you to learn the snowplow, and which is something you practically never use when you get good. But
yeah. But you have to learn it to start off with so that you can.
You have to learn it for safety
and not
reasons.
die. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
But the way you do it involves tilting your ankles and legs in a way that it just is pure uncomfortable.
Like really unnatural.
Yeah. And I just really struggled with it.
Did you ask Gnome how she managed to do that in the first place? Because I presume she doesn't need to do it now.
I don't know. I think she learned when she was relatively young and so was perhaps a tiny bit more flexible.
Right, yeah, I guess that helps.
we were all a bit more active when we were younger, so it might be slightly easier.
Although we were mainly focused on the trampolining.
True.
Oh dear.
So yeah, I wonder if like perhaps trying to pick up skiing might be. Well, it might work out better in terms of a holiday anyway. But you know, so we both ski rather than one of us ski, one of us board. But
that's true. But I mean, I wouldn't give up on just because you were doing the skiing. You'd probably get the opportunity, to do both.
Yeah. But boarding seems more fun to me, although most of the people I talk to about it seem to say that it's more effort to board. Like,
yeah,
you know, you're putting more
work in.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's weird that the last week that it's come up and people have started asking me about it. It's like, oh, have you done any more about it? And it's like, no. It's come up a number of times in this last week. And it's like, well, why haven't you talked to me about it nearer the time? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. Suddenly it was sunny and we needed to talk about where it was sunny and cold.
Yeah.
Which is on the slopes. Oh, yeah.
On the slope.
Any of your classic Cool Borders 3 skills translated to real?
No, it's one of those things where in your head you think, oh, yeah, I can do that.
Of course.
I can pull a sweet grab off a jump.
Oh, yeah. Did you even try? Like,
no.
No.
I don't think I've even jumped.
Right. You haven't come off away from the ground, off the surface.
Not intentionally. I suppose in the process of falling, your board will lift at some point.
You need to do a sweet grab when you know you're going to facepod. It's like,
I'll hold on to my board. It's the safest way. Probably not.
If you're falling forward, can you like do a forward roll or something? Just bundle up or no? I guess
you might be traveling too fast to.
Yeah, that's true.
To properly put your hands down.
Yeah, you'd probably just go splat. Yeah. Or you'd like headbutt the floor, which would probably be the worst possible thing to do.
Maybe if you curled up just right, you could probably roll out of it or something if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's probably better not to fall over.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that. Top tip. Don't fall.
Don't fall. So, Zeg, any of this kind of stuff attract you? Snowboarding? Is that your kind of style? Or have you been on skiing holidays, haven't you?
No, of course not.
Oh. Well, I thought maybe you had with your, back in the day.
You either had canals or sun.
Yep, that was our choice.
Oh, canals or sun, right, okay. Which did you prefer?
Canals, obviously.
Canals.
Super boring. Sun is actually just swimming pool. 90%
Yeah.
of the time, it's swimming pool.
There's nothing really wrong with swimming pools, though.
It's okay, but it's not exactly interesting.
Mm.
It was more interesting when we drove around and looked at because we were on one of the islands where it's a volcano at some point, or it was. So it's look at all this weird volcanic scenery. That's kind of cool. Apart from we're sitting in a badly air-conditioned car and it's 40 degrees outside.
That sounds the worst.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool apart from the bit where you have sucky cars.
It's cool except for the part where it's not cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely not attracted to any of those kind of volcanic islands that seem to be. I don't know. There's certain ones that just attract everyone. I mean, I'd go to Hawaii or something, but it's so fucking far away. But that's actually got some stuff going on other than just sun, right? Well, maybe not that much, but
yeah. I suppose the problem with doing a holiday like that, where you actually go somewhere, super nice, and actually go and do things, are the most expensive holidays you can imagine.
No, I suppose everywhere's expensive.
You want to do some scuba, you want to do some jet ski. Come on, it's
jet ski. Jeez, that would be cool, but
drive around. You just go to all the different beaches you can possibly drive to. Was the plan that we executed, more or less, except not really. We went to the ones that were famous beaches, particularly the one where it's this is just one of the times we did it, but I can't remember even where this was, but it was there was a beach on this island where they'd imported sand from the Sahara, which meant it was completely non-natural for the environment. It's not the kind of sand that the island would have anyway. Okay. But also, it was insanely hot. It's something about this desert sand just absorbs heat. So as soon as you stand on it, it's just you're burning your foot.
Wow.
So you can't actually stay on the beach. You either have to be either be standing on a towel or in the water, because the transitional period when you're actually on the sand is just murderous.
I wonder if they could make an
sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they could make a sand? Like, I know sand is just silicon, basically, but I mean, do you think you could make a sand that was like cooler? You know, an artificial sand that was tailored to be not so insane.
I think normal coloured sand would actually be quite cool because it's light coloured, but it's not.
Right.
It's like somehow, even the light coloured sand absorbs heat like ridiculously.
Yeah, I guess you just need to make it
even worse.
Is it
more
just length
reflective.
of time it's exposed?
Yeah, presumably. It's just in the sun all day constantly.
But yeah, maybe you could make it more reflective and absorb less heat by radiation, right?
Just make a beach where it's just like a ground up mirror.
Yeah.
It's like it just reflects all the light. That would be super difficult to like see what the fuck you were doing. It'd be like shining everything.
Well, it'd be really scattery, wouldn't it? I guess you get really white sand, don't you? Do you think white sand is cooler than the yellow sand? Do you know the white sand they have in like bunkers in American like Pebble Beach or shit?
Would be, in theory.
Well, it does sort of look more glamorous.
More glamorous.
The lighter colour.
So.
Well, yeah, you associate it with like the, I don't know, proper tropical beaches, I guess. Or,
yeah, that's true. You do, yeah. I guess palm trees and stuff. But I mean, you get those with normal yellow sand as well, don't you? It's just where do you get that super nice white sand though? I guess Caribbean, maybe.
I don't actually really know.
Depends on what rocket's made out of, presumably.
It's the shots that they probably just import it from. It's actually snow, and they import it.
That's amazing! Wow, this sand is so cool to the touch. Wonder why.
They just import it for the Thomas Cook ads.
They just cover the beach in snow and be like, "Look how white the sand is." Like it melts in like 2 seconds. Salt. Yeah. That would be so grim. It's like,
I wonder if you could do that if you use like an artificial snow machine that they use for like making winter scenes in TV programs or whatever.
Yeah, because that stuff's not.
Yeah, that doesn't melt very quickly, does it?
It does melt.
At all?
I don't know.
I assume it does, because otherwise it'd be a fucking pain in the ass to clean up.
Yeah.
Or you can just wash it away or something. Just spray that all over a beach and see if that improves. See if you can tell that it's not actually sand that you're looking at.
Do that in Felix though. See what happens.
I think you might be able to tell in Phoenix Stone because you'd be able to see the lumpiness of the pebbles.
Well, they've sort of been artificially changing it. Like some of it isn't stone anymore because they've been trying to put in sand to try and make the beach more attractive. Yeah,
not from the Sahara, is it? We're already getting that raining on us. At least we were at one point, weren't we? Because it was all over all the cars.
Yeah, it's weird. You could start to see it build up on the windows and stuff.
By the way, I just thought, is Felix Snow the Felix?
The Felix.
No, yeah. Or is it the Stowe doesn't work, does it? Because it's everywhere. The feels and the switch and the culture.
Stay away from the culture.
Yeah, definitely. But visit the feels.
I was listening to some old Saladcast actually, and we did refer to it as the Switch pretty early on.
Yeah,
the Switch makes sense. Yeah, but the culture's funnier somehow.
Stay away from the culture.
What is it that's funny about culture? Is it the
culture?
What?
Just because it's a sort of awkward word, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just trying to think of words that are similar that are like similarly weird. Mulch. Yeah, exactly. Like mulch is a weird word.
Bulge.
Not quite the same.
Not quite. Bilge. Bilge is a great word.
The bilge. Yeah, there you go. Anything that ends in that kind of sound is weird.
Cludge.
Yeah, cludge. Anyway, let's list weird words. Bad. So, holidays.
I guess.
Yeah.
Are you going on any holidays anytime soon?
That time of year, I guess.
Yeah. I've just realised that, not this year probably, but I've just realised that I might actually finally got to a point in my life where I can I can go on holiday, off my own back and not it be, there was original stage where parents organised holidays and all went together. And then there was kind of and then there was stage of not being able to afford anything, and now finally I might be at stage of do stuff. And it's weird because if you ask people like same age as me and younger, they seem to have gone everywhere already, and I don't understand how they.
I don't understand. I think it's because they. I think most people are not sensible with money.
Yeah, they just borrow.
So that's
what my mum says. Yeah,
just put it on debt or don't pay for rent or something. Or run into the overdraft or something crazy
exactly.
like that.
My mum said when she met Nick and stuff, they had this car. It wasn't that great, but it was like a sports car, like a Mazda RX-8 or whatever thingy.
Oh, okay.
What's that thing called with the Wankel engine?
Yeah, anyway, it's the RX-8.
Yeah, but so it's quite nice. But and she thought, oh, that's cool or whatever. But then it turned out that him and his previous wife had it together, but they couldn't afford it. They just bought it on credit, and now she looks around and sees all these flash cars in like Ipswich and stuff, and she now knows that like those people can't afford those cars. Most of them, they just bought them on credit. They're just in like permanent debt.
It's pretty impossible when you really think about it, like how to manage it. It's just because I've always tried to operate under the principle of if I don't have the money, then don't buy it.
Yeah,
and that's there's only been a few exceptions to that. Like being my cars, which
but you have to.
That's really difficult to like buy a 15 grand thing in one go.
Cars and houses.
Naturally, the house.
Yeah, that's perfectly normal to borrow on those, right? And also,
student loans, I suppose.
Your degree, your degree as well is perfectly normal to borrow for that. But I mean,
and those are really the only times I've ever done that. Like I had a credit card for ages, just as Mum thought it would be a good idea to have one when I went to uni for emergency purposes, and it's like,
that's fair enough.
Never needed it because I had a job. And it's, again, even then, I was sort of like, I just couldn't understand the concept of.
Yeah, I mean, credit cards
just seemed wrong.
Yeah, well, it's better than if you have a credit card, then it's definitely a lot better than going into your overdraft on your current account in terms of penalties or whatever, isn't it? Like, so you get more time or whatever. But
I don't want us to sound all sort of preachy about it and stuff, because obviously there are some people that obviously can't manage that, and it's like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You deal with it as you can. But if you have the choice, just don't do it.
I would say
it's
so.
Not worth it.
But at the same time,
as soon as you get in there, it's harder to get out.
Indeed. But what if they've gone to all these cool places? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you're right. I'm sort of in that place now where, in theory, I could start doing that stuff, and I sort of have with Gnome to some extent.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we did that holiday, that one proper holiday, and then Centre Parks this year.
Yeah.
So I probably won't be having another holiday this year, or probably next year until the wedding's out of the way. Because holy fucking shit, I need money.
Yeah, that shit is expensive as hell, man.
Yeah, I'm actually like, now I've had time to digest some of the figures involved. It's like, the shit's fucked.
You should speak to John and Vanessa about it, because they went through the whole thing, and that was a big wedding, quite big, wasn't it? Relatively big. It's not huge,
kinda. They managed to scale down in some nice ways. I think because of ties to the some of the church community. I think
that's true. Yeah,
sort of helps. Things I don't really have, and of course, we already have the venue and stuff, but that on its own is nearly $4 grand before that, and it's like, well, that's the majority of what I can possibly save in the next year.
yeah, pretty much.
And that's that's if I can put off the temptations of, I don't know, buying a media server that I really probably need to do for all the Saladcast videos at some point in the future, and a PlayStation 4 if it gets good. That one I can probably do without for a year. Given that there's still nothing on the horizon that really interests me on that thing.
Well, you do have the two other current gen consoles, so you're getting there.
Yeah, all right. I could probably borrow Kippus's, because we talked to him about his PS4 last week. He hasn't used it at all. Nope, he just doesn't use it.
Really? There's nothing. Yeah. What's out though? I mean,
well, the third party stuff plays better on it in theory right now.
Yeah, you'd be able to play Watch Dogs on that shit. Yeah, or whatever.
or Battlefield. But then if you're playing Battlefield on a console, what do you do? Apparently it's fine, but PC version.
He's going to play COD on it though, right? When it comes out, I guess.
I guess he'll stay Xbox for that, but because Xbox Live.
Oh, that's true. Has he got both then?
He has got both, yeah.
Why did he get the PS4 then?
He's one of these people that are bad with money.
Right, one of these people, yeah, I absolutely.
Sorry, Kips, because I know you listen.
Yeah, but come on. Okay, fair enough. That's cool. What's the media server thing? What's the deal? What's the plan?
I want to build just like a NAS drive, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just so it's just somewhere to dump epic amounts of files. Because every now and then I do go through a sort of like a panic in my head about backing shit up, and the importance of it these days. Because it's like if something was to happen to just one of my drives somewhere, it's like that's a lot of stuff gone. And it's like, even though I do have some backups of some things, it's like you can never quite be
sure about it unless you've organised
it. Yeah, it doesn't feel so great. So I want to build like a 4-disc NAS system running probably not a RAID 1, but at least some variant of RAID. 1-disc redundancy.
Some kind of redundancy,
like a RAID 5 or something.
1+0.
So I've got shit tons of space, like 9 terabytes or something. So that would keep me going for like forever. And then,
you say that now.
Yeah,
who knows what's going to happen?
For at least a while. But that means I can then back up all of my music stuff. I can back up my literal music collection, any videos and stuff that I have. Like the Saladcast libraries grow fast, and yeah, just that kind of stuff. It's
cool.
It's not been a problem thus far, but I'm noticing after a year of doing videos and stuff that my hard disk usage is starting to creep up now. So if I'm good, maybe that can wait, but it would just be really nice because the GNOME doesn't back up anything either. So should probably have somewhere for her to store stuff. And
I mean, there'd be plenty of space for her stuff, I imagine. I don't know though. Does she do any heavy Photoshoppy? Even that wouldn't be nothing compared to video. I guess,
No, it's not a lot. And given that she's basically been working off the back of a laptop and a couple of memory sticks since forever, her volume of data is still pretty low.
Yeah, and you're not tempted by any kind of cloud backup instead?
No, it just costs too much ongoing money. I'm still of the,
isn't it?
Yeah. For the levels of data I'm dealing with, it just doesn't work out.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
And I can.
If you've got the RAID thing, then you've got just as good, probably just as good redundancy as any cloud solution. Well, maybe not as good, but I mean, good enough.
I've been looking at some nice ones as well, like ones that connect as AirPlay servers and stuff, so I could probably use iTunes Remote on them or something to get them to play to the things around the house. So I don't need a PC to manage that. And
there's going to be some crap tomorrow, apparently, at the WWDC about home automation. Apparently, that's what I heard from Apple.
Because they're getting involved in that. But for a fact that if Apple get involved with it, it will be non-standard, and therefore segregating the market horribly.
It'll be non-standard and also fairly widely adopted, which is the crap thing about Apple.
It's the worst combo, really.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, it's great for them, but there does come a point where it becomes just terrible.
Do you see that thing the other day about their slightly unrelated to hardware? It was a software thing, but how some of their native applications, like iBooks and stuff, have access to APIs that you can't get access to with if you're developing an app for the
that's normal, right?
That's fairly normal. But there was some funny some of the code was shown, and it was literally it had an if statement, and it compared the string of the bundle IDs. It was this API shut off unless bundle ID equals iBooks. Else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was literally a list of strings to compare to.
OS level stuff that so even if Apple wanted to, they couldn't just write a new app and deploy it.
No, they'd have to update the OS to to add in a backdoor for that particular app. But then
I do wonder if some of that
the OS.
Yeah, I do wonder if that is some, like, if it's because like some of the apps do stuff that is a little untoward, that you wouldn't be able to get away with, or wouldn't be
I mean, it's fine.
safe to do as someone else. Or
I'm not that, it's all fine. I just think it's quite funny when you see code like that. It's quite funny.
Well, I mean, there are things like weirdly relevant. Zach and I were looking at Wi-Fi analyzer stuff.
Yeah,
because Zach's been having problems with his Wi-Fi, and I occasionally have problems with my Wi-Fi. So before he tells the story, it's like so I was looking for a Wi-Fi analyzer tool that I could run to see what was happening, before realizing that my desktop obviously doesn't have wireless on it. So this is a pointless endeavor for the term I was looking at.
Okay,
but like on Android, there is a program just called Wi-Fi analyzer, because Android doesn't give a shit about what you do with it.
No,
and it's like, and you can't do that stuff on iPhone or Windows Phone because of restricted access to the functions that would let you do that kind of analysis.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a bugger. That kind of tool would be really awesome.
Yeah, and you'd think, I mean, I don't know, but maybe you'd hope that like Windows Phone would learn lessons of Windows itself, which was a success because you could access some of the low-level APIs and stuff, which you couldn't do.
It depends how they're going to double back on that. It's like, in some aspects, where the direction that they're now taking with if you read the stuff about Windows 9 and stuff,
what's going on?
I think we've talked about it before. That's where they're like going to bring back the old start menu and.
Oh, I thought that was like 8.2 or whatever.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, because I want that, obviously.
But if you see what I mean, it's kind of a backtrack in the direction of actually, you know what, people use Windows for the desktop, not for Metro space.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, maybe the two systems are going to become sort of separated again. They're in a weird place right now, Microsoft, for that, in that I can see their vision, and you have to commend them for keeping
sticking with it.
But they keep trying.
I heard rumors that speculation. It was pure. I think it was on the Bombcast actually, but it was just that, like, no matter how good the intentions of Metro are, and the fact that they've been sticking to it and everything. I think they made some mistakes. Yeah, but
it's the same with the Kinect, isn't it? It's like the Kinect and the Xbox One. Moving slightly on topic, it's I really like what they're trying to do with the Kinect, but as it stands right now, it's not publicly popular.
Yeah,
and it's
but with the whole
that causes a problem for them.
Cross Microsoft UI initiative of Metro, or whatever you want to call it. Like, the speculation was that, like, it's all change at Microsoft. They have a new CEO, they have new leadership all over the place, and they might just, do a massive U-turn and like chuck the whole thing out, which they could do.
I mean, that is what happens, doesn't it? New management, and sometimes there's a bit of a. I suppose it didn't necessarily happen too much during the Ballmer era, Ballmer, however you want to say it, not Obama, but Steve Ballmer. That normally, I guess, when management comes in, there's a sort of a bit of an emphasis on them putting their mark on the company.
But Ballmer was there from really early, wasn't he? So he wasn't like new blood at all. Company, he was like, let's continue. Or he was like Bill Gates, but with less vision, or do you know what I mean? He was
just a numbers guy, wasn't he? He tried to play Microsoft by the books, and it didn't really work. But,
so that would be.
But you know what I mean? Like, someone new comes in, there's kind of it seems like a requirement for them to do.
Yeah, make their stamp on things.
Something radical.
And I think they should. I mean, something radical probably does need. Well, not need maybe, but probably. Could,
at least Microsoft needs it in the consumer space. I think their enterprise side is still fine.
Oh yeah, they're getting really. I mean, the last Build conference was super cool. All the open source shit they're doing and everything. It's all great stuff. Did you see the
developer-y stuff is still awesome, but they just need to. But ever since Vista, I guess, or probably before that, Microsoft have had a bit of a bad image, and it's that side they need to address. These publicly facing, consumer-friendly devices and services.
I have to say, going back to this is nothing to do with Microsoft. It's just purely hardware. But like, because Microsoft the only hardware that Microsoft make is pretty damn good and always has been. Like the Surface Pro 3. Oh, that just came out, didn't it? Surface Pro 3. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Pretty
cool.
It's a lot
really
lighter
much
and stuff.
Yeah, it's not really much of a spec update, but they made the screen bigger and nicer, and
yeah, exactly. And
the whole thing is slightly heavier, I think, actually, but it's thinner.
But yeah, because I've moved to this different office for the moment or whatever, I've got this crappy equipment, and the screens are just shit. And like it just if you're used to those iMac screens, they're just unbelievably good. That IPS screens just look so good, and it's the contrast is way bigger than I'd ever expected. I don't know, it's really weird. And of course now, because for a long time when
I sort of like get a bit of envy from some of the other co-workers in the new office I have, because it's just we brought the screens with us.
All right.
The Iyamas that we use, and it's like they're sort of 1080 widescreen displays, and it's like everyone else has these sort of crappy Dell Square things, and so they come to my desk where I've got two of these set up. It's just like, how the hell? It's like, so envious, and it's like, well, this is what you get for having non-standard equipment. You get a better world.
So I didn't realize you got a new office.
We did that back in when things kind of went. I don't know how much of this I can really say, but when we got bought back in March-ish, we had to move office because we've merged with this other place, so I go there instead, and it's.
So you're not working from home anymore?
I'm still working from home, but I do need to go in periodically.
Oh, I see.
Can't blag it all the time.
It's not a drastic change. Where is it? It's in Bury, did you say?
Baldock.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, never mind. Yes.
Dock and Ball.
But yeah, the upshot of
going down the duck. That's a shit name. It's like really the bald. Going to the bald.
The bald. From the switch to the bald. Oh yeah. Yeah, the upside of these crappy screens is I no longer feel the desperate need to buy a really fancy screen for home because I'm not switching between. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose the screens you're going home to are better.
Yeah, well, they're not much better, but they're about the same. Anyway, my eyesight is fucked anyway, so never mind. Who cares? Don't need retinas. Cool. So, yes. I was going to say something, but I can't remember what. Yeah, what's going on?
The wireless story.
Yeah, that's right, the wireless story.
Well, basically, my internet had been being shitty for a while, which is probably something totally outside my house, basically. It was probably some crap BT was doing somewhere, as they do. I'm pretty sure they're going to replace the green box at the top of the road at some point, because they've marked out the pavement.
Right.
Basically, looks like they're about to just move it like 2 feet to the left, but I assume they're just going to put a new one in there.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So yeah, that's been marked out for a while though, and they haven't actually done anything yet, so I don't know. But yeah, so our internet was being kind of shitty, and I was just doing the things that I usually do to try and the very limited things I can actually do through like accessing the router settings and see if there's anything in there. I was just poking at it to see if I could improve it at all.
Yeah.
And then, so at some point I changed the wireless channel because I looked at my wireless scanner thing and it was like, everyone's on channel 5. Well, maybe I'll move to one of the channels that isn't where everyone else is. Maybe that will help somehow. Because I was noticing it like, it looked more like my computer was disconnecting from the wireless than it was the actual internet in some cases. Because normally when the internet is bad, it takes ages for the router to actually reconnect to it, rather than when my wireless is bad, like by the time I walk downstairs to look at the router just looked perfectly fine, and then I'll go back upstairs and my computer will have reconnected, and I'm like, well, that's...
Well, yeah, you're in a lot of routers, the Wi-Fi becomes active faster than your connection to the internet, so you'll connect to the router, but you won't have any internet.
Yeah, it has been happening. But so anyway, I fucked around with it and changed the wireless channel, and it was still shitty, and I was just like, oh fuck it, it must just be whatever BT's doing, they're going to unfuck it eventually. But then I noticed I was having the mysterious problem I'd had before, where as soon as I was putting any load on my graphics card, the wireless was getting shittier and then disconnecting in some cases.
The mystery of the antenna being wrongly positioned or something.
Being next to the monitor cable, yeah. So I was like, wait. So when that started happening, I suddenly realised it was like, wait, the only thing that I've really changed was the wireless channel. So I went and did some tests with like running a speed test while changing wireless channel and loading and not loading my graphics card. And it turns out that my graphics card does put out interference on like the wireless range. Yeah. So it's like when it's under load, it will fuck up the wireless connection. But it's worse at the bottom of the wireless range.
Right.
So it's like once you start, as you go higher up the channels, it doesn't interfere as much from my graphics card. But also, like regardless of my graphics card, there's just something else somewhere around our house that is producing an insane amount of interference on the low end of the wireless spectrum. Because it's like if you go down to channel 1, my computer can't even see the router any longer, let alone connect to it.
Well, it might just be that the different frequency bands have different ranges, right?
No, because it's like as you go up the different bands, the maximum speed it can get out of it goes up.
Right.
So it's like the interference is actually making it shittier.
No, but I think it means like actual physical range of the lower frequencies.
What about
through walls and?
Yeah, but it can it can still ping it on like band 2, and that's not that much difference. And also, I'm not actually that far away from the router. It's not like I'm on the edge of the range or anything.
No, you're probably right.
That's true. So it sounds like you can just stick it to a high rate, into a high frequency.
Yeah, so I just stuck it all the way up to 13 and said, fuck it. And then my internet connection seems to be fine now. And I was like, well, was BT actually doing anything at all? I can't remember whether I had it on auto-switching channels before. Because if that had been what had actually been happening, it's like if it had auto-switched to a shit channel, and that was just making it appear that the internet was bad. But I'm pretty sure Dad said that his internet was bad as well, so it probably was actually bad.
I still think if you need the internet as much as you do, and you've been using it in that house for as long as you have, that by now you should have goddamn wired a goddamn wire.
Yeah, I know.
Stick some Ethernet in the wall.
I don't know, because it was just annoying, isn't it? But I don't know.
It's particularly annoying for like super old house like our house.
Yeah, it's like
running a wire through any of those walls is a giant pain in the ass.
I'd really like to have wired up in my office, but that's probably about. I don't know, that's probably still slightly shorter than the distance between your machine and the router.
Yeah, probably.
But it's I still lose signal strength over that distance. And I say I have speed problems occasionally at that. So I don't know if it's range or interference or what. Because my router has this weird thing where if you go to the Wi-Fi of it, it will tell you what the actual operating speed is.
Yeah.
And it's the actual operating speed, I think, of the entire Wi-Fi that the router is providing. And it varies so amazingly. Like some days it will be up in the 50s, 50 megabits, and and other days it will drop down to like 2. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? What has happened today? And sometimes I can restart the router and get all 50 back, and then everything seems happy again. It's really weird. Like Wi-Fi is just kind of messed up. And I suppose it's unavoidable because it got popular and stuff.
I guess so. They do try and improve it, don't they? I mean, there are new standards all the time. But it seems like fundamentally a bit weird.
I can't use the 5 gig band, for instance, on mine. So it's like, and no one uses 5 gig really, comparatively. So it'd be nice if I could get that at some point, but I probably need to get a new router to deal with it.
Yeah, probably.
And there's that new AC standard coming through slowly, which is like super mega fast.
So it's basically done.
You should try power line adapters because you can pick up a pair for like 30 quid now.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Because I know some people that really rave about them.
Really?
I just think, considering the shittiness of the power in that house, that doesn't seem like it would actually be better.
Yeah, I don't know. I have known people say really good things about them. Like you achieve a pretty good speed.
I think the main problem with the power layout of that house is just like nothing seems to be fucking connected to where you'd fit. It's like if you go to the breakers or the fuse box as it is, because it's not even breakers because it's old school.
Nice.
Actually, I don't know. Did we get that replaced? I don't remember. It got replaced at some point.
Is it still like a bit of wire like between 2 points?
It used to be, yeah.
I think my mum's is still like that.
That's hardcore. But so it's just like you go to that and it has like the switches so you can turn on and off different parts of the thing where it's like, oh, the upstairs lighting circuit and the downstairs lighting circuit and the upstairs power sockets and the downstairs power sockets. Except those don't actually mean anything because shit is just randomly connected where it's like, for some reason, like my room at the back of the house, which is like in the newest part of the house, for some reason that didn't get connected to the upstairs circuits.
Wait, is this on the downstairs circuit?
I don't know what circuit it's on.
Oh god.
So it's like, but I think the lighting is on the upstairs circuit, but the power isn't. And it's just like, what? And then like the porch light out the front of the house is connected to the upstairs lighting circuit as well. It's like, why?
Well, I guess
whichever
the wire was
most
on the
convenient,
ground.
I guess. Yeah.
But then what actually, the worst thing about the porch light is for ages it wasn't working because as soon as you flick the switch, it would just short out the circuit. And it was just like, well, that's fucked. We need an actual electrician to come and look at this. So the actual electrician came and looked at it, and he basically said, yeah, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with this wire. We'll just move it to a different part of the circuit and wire it up to a completely different socket.
Awesome. Love it.
So that was the...
Well, it's probably because it's quite expensive, I reckon, at some point to actually start like tinkering around and try and figure out where all your wiring is and what's wrong, or if a rat is in a certain part.
It worked for years before.
That's the goddamn job of the goddamn electrician.
Exactly. It's like, we can't solve this electrical problem, we'll just like paste wallpaper over it, basically. No, don't worry about that switch any longer.
But I wonder if it's one of those like cost efficiency things.
Cost benefit like, analysis.
Because like, would it take so long to figure out what's going on with your house, like, or is it just simpler just to go, well, fuck it, I'll clutch something together? Well, that's like a lot like development.
And speaking of the electrician doing a bad job at his job, he then proceeded to wire up the switches the wrong way around.
Good.
Not maybe intentionally, or maybe it was just like, because it's like it's two switches on one panel.
Yeah.
And the one nearest the outside light switches the room on, and the one nearest the room switches the outside light on.
Yeah,
you've done it backwards.
That is backwards.
They're always doing that.
In theory,
that really annoys me. I don't know why.
In theory, that's not difficult for you to sort out, though. Yeah.
In theory. So yeah, that was done. The wiring in that house is just atrocious in general. I haven't had any light bulbs in my room blow out for ages, so maybe they fixed that one.
But presumably you use energy savers now, though?
Well,
you still got filament bulbs?
No, I used the ones that blew out all the time was like a strip of 4 halogens coming off.
Really?
Coming off one.
They used to blow.
Yeah, they blow all the time. But now I'm back to just.
They make a bang, don't they, when they
bulb.
blow? Sometimes.
Yeah,
halogen.
Halogens are well loud.
Yeah.
Now I'm back to just one singular bulb, and that hasn't blown for ages.
Well, we've been replacing our halogens with LEDs because you can get LEDs to fit in the same spot, and
that's much better, isn't it? Then
we've only got one halogen left. Like, so in the kitchen, we now have 3 LED lights and 1 halogen, but they're a slightly different tint. So the LED lights we have are a cool white, a sort of a bluer, and like the halogen one is really orange.
Yeah,
it's like, so there's an orange corner.
Yeah,
welcome to the orange corner.
They must be a lot more efficient, right? Right? LED lights?
Oh, yeah, massively.
Massively more
efficient. But the LED lights are sort of weirdly more spotty, I suppose, as in they have a very, very bright bit right underneath them and don't spread as much.
Is it like a cluster of like 3 LEDs or like?
It's much more than that. There's tons of ours.
Oh, right, okay.
It's like a square of panels, like at least, I want to say 16 LEDs.
Cool. We're living in the future.
But they are neat because they'll like never die, pretty much.
So cool.
So that's the end of electrician time. Let's move on to news time.
Now news time.
Not that there is any news, apparently.
No, it seems weirdly little of interest.
What's going on in the world of video games?
Yeah.
Well, there was that thing that I sent you that video of.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Zach probably just... I didn't tell Zach, but he probably just saw GameCube adapter for the Wii U, so you can plug your GameCube controllers into it, which for Smash Bros. Is like, shit, yeah.
The real question is, why didn't they bother putting it in the console again, really? I mean, it's not exactly... It's already practically a Wii. It probably uses the exact same bit of circuit board from the Wii.
It's probably cost-saving, isn't it? It's like costing them a bit of money to...
Yeah, but then you're increasing the cost by having to surround it entirely by plastic and add a cable.
But I
guess
guess
they can charge you for that.
Because they're not going to sell GameCube controllers, are they? This is just for the core fans who already have those things, right?
Well, you say that, but they have announced that they're going to be making a GameCube-like controller that plugs into the Wiimote wirelessly. Well, you know, you plug it into the Wiimote, and then like the old classic controllers.
Yeah.
So they will be making GameCube-like controllers.
Yeah, but that won't need the adapter in any way, of course. Yeah.
In theory, no, they're still not making GameCube controllers. Although it would be awesome if they did. Although,
not really. I mean, might as well make a new one. Awesome. Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah.
And in fairness, I haven't used the Pro controller yet, so I don't know what that's like.
It doesn't look great, though.
It looks like a controller. I don't know.
They should make a. I guess the ideal would be if they like reissued the GameCube controller, but it had wireless, like as is. Well, I guess that's what you're talking about, right?
Except just get a Wavebird, right?
Yeah, but they're not very good though, aren't they? Those Wavebirds, like they're bigger and heavier, and they eat batteries, and I can't remember what else. Oh, they didn't have rumble, right?
No, because they were powering the.
Yeah, so you could fix all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, why bother releasing this adapter? They should have just released a GameCube controller with wireless in it.
Yeah, maybe.
They would have made a lot more money then because they'd rather buy 4 of them.
Maybe.
Well, I think their thinking was like everyone who wanted to get Smash Brothers that was a fan of old Smash Brothers was going to have to lay out for like 4 controllers at the same time, and that might put
4
people
Pro
off.
Controllers might be too much.
Whereas now they don't have to.
Well, we don't know how much the adapter.
How
much the adapter is, in fairness.
Well, it'd be smart if Nintendo sold it relatively cheap.
It'd be nice if they like. This is a real nice to have, really, and I'm not sure it's something they did, but if they made like first-party Nintendo games aware of it.
I mean, imagine that'd be cool if you could play Mario Kart with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So Mario Kart 8 suddenly becomes
that'd be great.
Friendly. In fact, that would be. I'll talk about that later, but in fact, I think that would be better.
Well, it shouldn't actually be difficult to do that because it's just basically the same buttons as the Pro controller at this point, really.
Well, sort of. The layout's different though. Like the A is in A and B and X and Y are in different places on a GameCube controller to what the current layout is.
Not that different.
Well, A is where. Well, it's the same on the GameCube controller as the Xbox controller, except on the current Wii U layout, and I think it's the same on the DS as well. Like B is where A is, or B is X, I guess. And then
is that
B
like
is where
the SNES?
Is. Yeah, it's like this. It's more like the SNES model.
Yeah.
So like
the other way,
Y is still on top, but
it's still.
A and B are kind of swapped.
It's still more or less the same, apart from B.
Actually, no, Y isn't on top.
It's
like Y and X are swapped as well.
Are they?
Yeah.
What, X is at the top?
Yeah.
I can't remember whether that's like that on the DS or not. No, I think Y is on the top on the DS.
It's like a mirror of the Xbox controller from the top edge.
It's still more or less the same as the GameCube one, except the B isn't under your thumb under the A. It's still under A, it's just next to under A instead of under A.
Yeah, it's just more uncomfortable. It's like, I like the GameCube's fat A button. I always have done.
Well, I think they could have used bigger buttons slightly on their Wii U controllers regardless, because they're really tiny.
Yeah,
they're almost as small as the DS ones, really.
It gets a little uncomfortable at times.
Yeah, so I mean, they were innovators of the giant button of doom, right? With the GameCube is the kind of pinnacle of giant main button.
Yeah, I mean the A button was awesome. I used to love that. Like
with the little
the layout was kind of that was nice because it was very visual. Like you could see what button was intended. Like a lot of the good games would they didn't just say press X or something. They'd say press X and have a picture of the kidney as it's laid out, and it's
yeah, that's true.
It was cool because you could just sort of glance it and know what it meant, or like how they did with Zelda, in the C button layout.
Yeah,
on the N64, they moved that over onto the GameCube as well, so the button layouts mapped to that. It's great,
Although you didn't get quite as much, did you? I guess in Ocarina you get up, left and right on the C, right? Is that right? Or no, is it down? Because up was there to activate the Ocarina, wasn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you got a couple of them, I think. But was the Ocarina just another item you could replace in? But...
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess it was like activate the camera mode or something. You only got 3 of the 4 though, didn't you? Available, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Probably.
can't remember.
But you'd need to have the Ocarina assigned pretty much permanently, I guess.
Not so much in Ocarina of Time, maybe.
Hmm.
It's not like fucking Majora's Mask. That one you needed to play the Ocarina constantly for everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Change the dingoes.
Although actually, technically in Majora's Mask, what you really needed was like you needed about 5 more slots because you needed like 4 slots for fucking whatever mask you were using at the time.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe they needed a radial menu before those have been kind of invented.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's what you should. That's why you need the C stick. Then you could have a radial menu on the C.
You could have 8 at least.
Radial menus are really good, I think. Who came up with those? Because I think they're really nice in game.
I don't know, man. They sort of existed. They sort of came about as an attempt to solve the first-person shooter's problem of having lots of weapons. Like at the time, before like many of them started adopting the 2-weapon switch, and then some of them moved to D-pad variants of it, so you'd hold 4. And then I don't know. That's a good question. Who invented the radial menu for games? Even Viva Pinata had one.
Yeah,
but it probably predates. Does it predate 360s? Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably like PS2, Xbox era.
I can't believe how long it took some games to realize that there was a good plan, like GTA or whatever. Like, obviously, the radio menu is the best way to select the weapons.
It's sort of okay up until you have a lot of them.
Yeah,
and then actually it just becomes awkward. And it is, you can make mistakes, like especially if you have like. Actually, if you go over 4, sometimes it can be problematic. But if you need to swap quickly,
that's true.
Unless you're like something like Mass Effect, where you can go into a pause state and then pick your thing. And then...
Did Mass Effect 1 have radial menus to do that? I guess it did.
Yeah, it did. I think for all the power stuff.
It had its pause mode and the dumb blue circle.
Yeah.
That actually kind of sucked, even as a radial menu.
Well, there was quite a bit on it as well.
So that was news about something about controllers. Yes,
about controllers.
So I think that's cool. Yeah, if they allow you to use it with Mario Kart, that would be good, doubly good. But generally,
did they at some point announce that Pit is back in Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
he totally is.
I think Pit's in.
I don't know when that happened, or if that was.
Well, they've been doing it like regularly, haven't they? So I'm sure they'll get through it eventually. And for some reason, everyone's still annoyed that they haven't revealed Jigglypuff yet.
Yeah.
Like, why is everyone so hung on Jigglypuff?
Because Jigglypuff's a hilarious character.
Well,
and she's been there from the start.
Yeah,
she's one of the mainstays. She has to be there.
But it's not like they haven't... It's not like they haven't not announced a bunch of other people yet.
No.
That was a great sentence. I tried to restart it, but I couldn't think of a better way to phrase that.
I mean,
just plow on with it, yeah.
But yeah, there's still tons of other characters to come. There's other ones that people like, I'm sure.
Which is the thing, yeah. With the knowledge that the roster will be smaller though this time, is like just who is making the cut.
Yeah, but then why is Jigglypuff apparently the one that's at the top of everyone's list and remain? Surely there should be some other ones that people were still enthusiastic about.
What are the ones that you guys
But then again,
want?
they haven't made an F-Zero game for ages. Like, I think it's because they haven't made an F-Zero game for a while.
There's still no conclusive proof of who is or isn't in yet, so he could still be.
Yeah, I really hope he is. I like Falcon, but he's a funny character.
I mean, what else? What are they still missing? They haven't done the rest of the Star Fox.
No, although that's no great loss.
No, obviously.
Just having Fox is fine. Because the others were just mild variants, and maybe some of that will be like... that maybe you can make Fox act like Falco or Wolf through that sort of customization system.
Maybe.
If you wanted.
I'm pretty sure with Falcon that like, despite the fact that no one, maybe people don't know him from F-Zero now because there hasn't been an F-Zero game. I think Smash Brothers fans are pretty keen on the old Falcon Punch. That seems to be a key
well, it's just fun.
element of
Falcon
Smash Brothers, right?
Especially when you become Jumbo and then you use Falcon Punch.
Yeah. Falcon Punch! But there is like... Surely you'd think everyone would still be bitching about like the Fire Emblem characters.
Oh yeah, they brought back. Is it Ike?
I don't know. I can't remember which one.
They brought back the fat one. They haven't brought
the
back
fat
Marth.
one. Which one's the fat one?
The heavy.
Well, the heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Well, that's either Ike or Roy, depending on.
Oh yeah, of course, because there's both. Yeah,
Because they got rid of Roy to replace Ike with Ike.
Yeah, so presumably it would be. Well, I don't know. I can't remember which one it is.
But
surely they haven't announced Marth, have they?
No, I don't think so.
And Marth is quite a popular character.
Well, surely they should have tied it to the new Fire Emblem game. It should be Crom now.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Although Crom is basically Marth, and Marth in that game is not actually Marth. Spoilers, I guess. I think I've already talked about that game plenty on this podcast, and spoilers for it, but yeah. So it's like, technically Marth should be a woman now.
Yeah.
Because that's the story of that game. Not that they were exactly using the most recent Fire Emblem characters before, I guess.
No.
I don't even know what game that version of Marth is based on.
No.
Because I don't care about Fire Emblem.
Well, I don't think we've got many. We haven't had all of them. I don't think.
Obviously
in Europe.
But yeah, they totally should have. Bring in some other characters from that game. Bring in the player character from that game, the tactician. That'd probably be a cool character.
That is a cool. I want to hear the announcer say that. The tactician.
He could use magic and shit. He could not just have swords.
Yeah.
Or he could just have swords. Or you could have a weapon switching mechanic or something. I don't know. There's cool things you could do. As we always say when we talk about Smash Bros., we always come up with more awesome things that they should do, and then it's just like, no,
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to be that complicated. It's just going to be a Smash Bros. Game.
Yeah, and I think that's and in line with their goals for this game, adding complex stuff is not what they want to do.
Yeah, well, it's not like they're not adding complex stuff. They've got stupid fucking characters with multiple parts and.
But they haven't, have they? That's what they're stepping back from.
No, but they were like, we're going to get rid of transformations. Here's Rosalina and Illumina that you can control separately, like Ice Climbers, except even more complicated.
Yeah, and that one's pretty tricky.
So they got rid of one complicated thing and added a completely different complicated thing.
The Ice Climbers aren't back yet, are they?
No, I don't think so.
But then again, fuck Ice Climbers.
Well, yeah, obviously. They were a bad character from the start.
They're kind of interesting, but it's just sort of awkward because you're knowing you only have to kill the blue one.
And as soon as you lose the other half, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You basically become completely weak.
Yeah, pretty tricky. You're kind of relying on the AI a bit too much with Ice Climbers.
Yeah.
To just keep the other one in check.
Really, even though it's like they're getting rid of a bunch of characters and they're trying to simplify it, they really should just make more characters, more varied characters. There's totally like avenues that they could go down to make things more interesting, or in terms of like pulling. Because I guess
for us that's the problem with this direction for Smash Brothers. Because for me, all I ever want from Smash Brothers is more Smash Brothers. I don't care about the balance because that is not what I go for those games for. But unfortunately, people like Melee so much because it was a balanced fighter, sort of. That, they want, well, holy crap, if we make this, if we get this right, then this is an Evo candidate. That kind of shit. And Ninty wants in.
Well, sort of.
Why does Ninty care about that? That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
I get why people care about it, but I don't know why Nintendo care.
I think, I don't know, maybe they're looking at, the people that play Smash Brothers play a lot of Smash Brothers. And it's so in order to appease them, we need to not have flaws. Mm. And so in order to do that, we need to look at it from a fighting game mentality, I suppose.
Really, I just have to hope that what's going to happen is they're going to do this, they're going to release this Smash Brothers where they've trimmed everything back and, improved the mechanics, and then they'll go back to adding shit again. Because it seems, you could imagine that this is just they need to get this done fairly quickly because they want to have a Smash Brothers on the Wii U. And then they can go back to making another Smash Brothers and make it just more once they've got the basic version of this version of Smash Brothers down.
Yeah, it's not like Nintendo to just, I don't know, ship one out though. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Once they start going down a route, it's not like they change frequently.
Well, if you think about when Smash Brothers on the Wii came out, it wasn't exactly fast.
Well, no, they took their sweet time for that one. They delayed it a ton.
Whereas in this case, they're trying to ship this one out fairly fast, it seems.
Oh, I don't know. They did delay it for a while, didn't they? It was supposed to be out late last year, wasn't it? And now it's going to be this year.
Well, sort of. They did that delay for the different versions. Where like 3DS one's going to come out a lot sooner for some reason.
That's true. They pushed back the Wii U from summer. Still, whatever they do to it, it's still going to be a Smash Bros. Game, and it's still, for that reason alone, it's going to be awesome.
Hopefully.
It seems like they're putting quite a lot of effort into it. I mean, and it, they've done, by all accounts, they've done pretty well in Mario Kart this time. So we'll see.
More on that to come.
Indeed. Any other news going on? You spent the whole time on Smash Brothers news so far.
Yeah, sorry. Watch Dogs.
No, it's good. Yeah.
That's not news.
That's not really news.
It's okay. News around it.
Yeah.
News around it.
It sort of killed Uplay for a while
predictably.
What a surprise.
On the PC side, especially. Well, for me, I couldn't log in to play Trials at some point this week because it was all dying. So, if you wanted to play any of your Uplay games, then it would have been somewhat awkward this week.
It's annoying.
It's just, kind of shitty, I suppose.
Yeah.
To bring down your whole service because of one game is kind of...
That happens every time with every game.
No. The game, normally it brings down a game's service. It doesn't bring down the wrapper, I suppose. It doesn't bring down the entire provider. It's not like when, say, Half-Life 3 came out. Okay, this might be an exaggeration.
Yeah,
this probably would
happen.
Yeah, if Half-Life 3 came out, it's not like Steam would go down. That one probably would kill Steam.
Well, the download servers would definitely go down.
Yeah.
Steam's download servers aren't actually that strong.
But at least you could still log in, and at least you could still play your games. Probably.
But it's not like Xbox Live doesn't crash when a Call of Duty comes out sometimes.
Not significantly. It's like
it hasn't recently, but that's happened before.
They go through phases. I don't think they've ever had a down. They go through like intermittent phases. Rarely. But then that normally only happens on launch day, and then it's fine.
Well, it's not like it's not like the Watch Dogs thing has persisted that long.
It was a good few days after launch that they were still having problems. It's probably okay now, but I don't know. It's just weird design if they managed to take down their login. It's like, I don't know. I think it's crappy. Do better.
I heard the PC performance wasn't too good either.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard someone trying to run it on a system with 2 Titans, no less, getting about 40 frames per second out of it.
Jeez,
which is kind of shit.
That's insane. That someone you know, or
friend of a friend.
It's just like they haven't opened up the power. It's just like they've ported it basically and haven't bothered to allow it to use more power almost.
I don't know what they've done because it's a bit strange because they've NVIDIA did release a specific one of those driver sets for a game release, and that hasn't done anything.
Do they ever? Like 20% more performance on this specific game, as if you're going to be able to tell.
Yeah, those things are always in such weirdly specific circumstances, though. Like one of the recent ones was adding another 10% to Dirt 3, apparently, but only at a certain resolution, like the 1440p or something. Like got a 10% boost on a card or something. It's like those stats are always so misleading. And
it's like you trying to even imagine how that works. It's like what possible programming can you write into a driver that affects one specific game at one specific resolution? I think it's like they analyze. They do a lot. In fairness to I think that's a bit of a harsh statement. Like they do a lot of analysis on how games use DirectX, for instance, and then figure out if they're doing this with DX, then we can do these tricks in our GPU to try and make that better. Like they're almost finding inefficiencies in how games use DX and fixing it for them. It's sort of weird, but doing it not in the game code. It's so I give NVIDIA props for just that level of support. Really, I think that's cool. Well, although it's questionable to us. Theoretical support.
Yeah, it's theoretical. To us, I'm not sure we can see it. But if they're doing it for realsies, then fair play. Keep doing it. Appreciate it. or not appreciated, but I don't know. Fuck it.
Okay.
Watch Dogs. It happened. Seems like a competent open world game. Doesn't seem to be setting the world on fire, though.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I never understood why everyone was so excited about it. I guess it was that one E3 presentation where it was like, "Whoa, this is amazing" or something.
It was one of these games that had the promise of next gen, if you know what I mean. It carried the weight of this is what we can do.
Yeah, but
And then it sort of didn't.
wasn't everyone at the time like super unsure it was actually next gen? Because they didn't announce platforms for ages.
No,
and everyone was like,
everyone
is
was
this next gen?
Everyone was unsure about that launch trailer. It's like, yeah, is it next gen? Is it not? Because I guess that trailer came out sort of around the time GTA 5 started getting talked about, maybe. Or there was information floating about GTA 5, and it's like, well, we're going to have to... the obvious comparison for open world stuff is let's look at the two together and see if Watch Dogs has an edge. And they did eventually come down in the conclusion, oh yeah, this is doing a lot more than GTA 5 is in some respects, like graphically. But
I don't think it looks better than GTA 5.
well, the GTA 5 carries it in style, not in technical prowess.
Exactly, it really does. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive technically to run GTA 5 on a 360 or whatever. I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that. Yeah. I mean, if you were to look at the details of Watch Dogs,
absolutely,
there'd be no contest. But
no.
Stylistically, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think you can argue that.
I think
it's just like a sunny day in Chicago just doesn't look as nice for some reason, and that's maybe an aesthetic nice, or
it's the same with a lot of open world games. I find that like no one seems to get it. The cities, they always seem a bit. I don't know if it's that they're more empty or they just don't feel right somehow compared to.
I think this. I don't know. In fairness, I think Watch Dogs does a pretty good job, mainly because of like the way that people react and the way that other vehicles and the population of the city is kind of believable in many ways. It still has the odd. They don't quite know how to deal with this scenario. Like you've just walked in through the service entrance of a restaurant and are behind the counter just standing there and no one seems to bat an eyelid.
Yeah. Well, that's standard.
There's shit like that, like behavioural stuff they don't seem to care about. But it's the way they react to your presence, like if you do something nasty or are driving like a maniac or steal a car in front of them. That stuff's pretty cool. Like having seen it in action, it's like, I like that. They'll react and say, oh my god, he's got a gun, or hey, that guy's stealing your car, and then people will start running after you, and some of them will call the cops, which is a sort of a key game mechanic, because then they'll start scanning for you and stuff.
And you can hear the call and everything and stuff as you're hacking the network and stuff.
And so in that respect, they're kind of getting it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not averse to it. I just think it's a bit weird that, like, for me, especially because, like, I'm a big GTA fan and quite a big Assassin's Creed fan, so you think this would be, like, perfect, but it's not really grabbing me.
Well, the thing that immediately worried me is when I read a few reviews that describe your character as a bit of a jerk. Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, are we in the Altair territory again?
That's what I mean, because, like, just think... Like if you compare like GTA and Assassin's Creed, it's like Altair, but everyone loves Ezio, and you know you've got to love Nico Bellic or whatever, and it makes a difference. It's quite a big difference.
I don't have a bit of a problem with Nico, but
really, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
all the characters in 5. I mean, none of the characters in GTA are like nice.
No,
really.
No, but Nico's sort of he's portrayed as being a good guy and then does shitty things, and I have a bit of a problem with that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's less of a problem.
It's like you really want to kind of like Nico, but you just can't.
Mm.
All you have to do is just compare him to his cousin, though.
Oh, that's true.
And then you like him a lot more.
That is true. When he's
what if he wants to go
the conversationals? Yeah, the conversational stuff is fine. He's great at those, like the scenes and stuff. But
but
as someone you play, there's then a problem.
Yeah, I think it would be very hard to. I mean, I think they had a good approach in 5 of having. Well, they had the 3 characters, but none of them are like at all like moral, really, in the way that Nico maybe seemed.
Yeah, it's
So
a
they
tough,
kind of
it's a tough
address
line
that.
to walk. You've got to be
Yeah.
cool, but not necessarily likable. And being an asshole is kind of not cool or likable.
Exactly.
Unless you're funny about it, I suppose. You could probably get away with it in humour, but
Yeah,
that's
Trevor
that's
is kind of
difficult-
funny and an
that's a
arsehole.
difficult line to walk.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do that if that was the main character, the only main character.
I guess.
Like most games only have one main character, so you wouldn't like. I don't think it would have worked if Trevor was the only character. It definitely wouldn't have worked. And so bringing it back to Watch Dogs, it's like if the main guy is like a bit of a dick, then yeah.
Yeah, it's like Jeff Gersman's review is a real interesting read because it's just kind of he points out sort of problems with the world, like the technology and stuff, like and how it doesn't feel right, or it feels futuristic but dated at the same time because of the way things work in this world.
Right.
Like the technology just doesn't seem like it would be like this, even though it's. You obviously have to take some fantastical elements that, I can just hack anything I want by pressing a button and the phone seems to know exactly what I want to do without me really looking at my phone while I'm riding a bike. That kind of shit. You have to take that with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, is in a near future age where we're talking about AR and stuff like that, and yet Aiden's constantly looking at his phone, that is this... It depends on your vision of where the future is going, I suppose. But it's like, does that make sense? Is this a future that can happen? It's that kind of argument that sort of perhaps takes you out of the world.
Yeah, and that sort of thing does like the cohesiveness.
It's too close to home, but not right.
Yeah.
What they should have done is just gone like it would be super weird, but what they should have done is just have an image of the game on his phone. So when he's looking at his phone, he's looking at what you're looking at in first person.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be well confusing for him. I'm not sure how you'd actually be able to use that interface in real life, but it would probably like make it look slightly more real. Yeah, in a weird way.
And the game does do some really awesome stuff, like the side tracks might be a little strange for some people as well. Like the digital trips, as they call them, just seem insane and aren't really explained in the context of the world either. Like you take some drug or something and then have a computer game induced hallucination or something. It's a bit weird. But then the stuff that's like more grounded, I think, is really cool. Like, as I say, like the crowd reactions, like how you can be just wandering around and people will be having totally normal sounding conversations, like believably normal.
Right.
And
that's pretty.
Not just the odd random soundbite as they're walking around going, "Man, you're so fat," or whatever, like the Saints Row stuff.
Yeah,
or, the odd. Or like Lego City, where people are walking around going, "I fancy a burger," like just really loudly, and they're the only person. They're not with anyone. They're just walking the streets, going, "It's lunchtime."
I mean, you get some slightly coherent conversations occasionally in GTA, but it's a bit, it's not quite right. That's for sure, and they don't last very long. I think that they obviously have some kind of matching engine for the individual sound bites, so that they can form a response.
From what I've seen as well, there are the occasional slickness issue. Like there was one bit where he was on the phone to someone, but that phone call was happening while a tutorial for something else was being displayed on screen, so it kind of didn't gel. And then you get into a car and loud music starts playing in the car, but the phone call happens as normal. Like, and you'd think they would like dip the car or not play the radio while this story-driven phone call is happening. There's some elements.
Little attention to detail,
Yeah.
I guess that's the kind of thing. I mean, that's what Jeff was kind of saying. It's like Watch Dogs 2 will probably be awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever. I guess that's what happened
in the same way that Assassin's Creed 2 was awesome, and Titanfall 2 will almost certainly fix any problems we have with this one in terms of like, I don't know, the long-term draw.
Maybe.
I don't know. They'll just make more of it, won't they, next time? Like if they don't have more weapons and they don't have anything, I think they'll learn from the fact that the drop off seems to be already happening on Titanfall. If you know.
Well, I hope they don't do what they did with Battlefield 4, which is launch it in a year's time and have it be totally broken.
Yeah. Well, no, 4 was 2 years after 3.
How long was it after 3? 2 years.
That's about 2 years. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, fairly long time.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't a single year.
Quick.
Hey, that's news.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Is it?
This mysterious thing called Battlefield Hardline got announced.
Oh yeah.
Well, not really.
Oh, and
really,
they're putting microtransactions into Battlefield 4, right? I heard that.
Oh yeah, but that's for like a shitty optional thing.
But they
anyway.
already had microtransactions. They had freeze microtransactions, so it was basically the same system, only worse. Because in Battlefield 4 it's more of a gamble, whereas at least in Battlefield 3 you just unlock things.
That microtransaction
so what's the Hardline
system
thing then?
I have no idea. That's the problem. No one really knows.
Oh.
They didn't actually get announced. It just got a name.
Yeah. I think it's whatever it is. I think it's out this year.
Maybe it's like tied you over with the franchise while they're working on a Battlefield 5 or whatever they're calling it. Jeez.
I guess. Presumably E3 will shed more light on that.
Oh, that's true. When is that? That's got to be really soon.
June 9th, everything kicks off. So by the next time we do a podcast, it will be E3 time,
special.
baby.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose we should do some predictions at the end of the cast. Like, what's everyone expecting or thinking about?
Predictions have been pretty bad so far that I've heard. Like the Giant Bomb was the number one prediction from most of them was like the Kinect will stay in the bundle.
Yeah.
that was so good, that edited together bit with Patrick.
Yeah, I did get around to listening to that in the end. No.
That was really good.
Pissing in the wind. No.
Anyway.
Good job, Vinny. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
So what else is news? Any more news at all?
I suppose it's not really news, but we were talking about microtransactions. The microtransaction stuff to Plants vs. Zombies landed.
Right.
But I have to commend them because it was so subtle. I didn't notice until Kippers told me it had been put in the game. And it's like, given the stick that Microsoft, I guess, got for, and EA in the past have got for putting microtransactions into things, this is kind of sensibly done, or done in a classy way. When you go to the sticker shop, the only place it's there is when you go to the sticker shop in the game. There's a prompt at the bottom of the screen where like the select and back hints are. There's just like press X to buy coins, and it's like it's tiny, and I didn't even notice it was there. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I was kind of okay with the idea in the first place, but the fact that they've done it so subtly, totally cool. So, well played. That's all I can say. Oh, and the PC version, I think, comes out end of June. And there's a PS4 version coming, apparently.
Everything's good about this game, isn't it? It seems like
everything is good about Garden Warfare.
Yeah, it's like it came
a fucking fantastic game.
Yeah, it's genius.
I know we're nearly halfway through the year, but holy crap, Game of the Year nomination. I'm not even joking. This is like my Devil May Cry.
Well, yeah. I mean, Devil May Cry was good, so I don't see why not. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, given what the fuck else is coming out this year, though? Really, apart from Smash Brothers, which Game of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. So no contest. Yeah. We're already done. Don't even have to record that podcast. Unless it's crap, of course.
It's a possibility.
Unless we don't actually like fighting games, which is a distinct possibility.
Yeah, but it's Smash Brothers doesn't count. There's a fighting game, really. They've done it right.
Oh, God. When does Smash Brothers come out?
Winter.
Way in the end of the year.
Winter.
It's not confirmed. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get the 3DS version, so we're not going to hear about that.
No.
I'm not going to get any preview of what's to come. Unless for some reason there's some kind of cheap promotion for it, which there won't be because it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Unless it's like buy free games and get Smash Brothers, and then there's free games that I actually want to buy, which is also incredibly unlikely.
And again, that Mario Kart 8 thing did happen, so, Just like, here, have a Wii U game for free. Harmonix had some layoffs. I don't know.
Oh, right.
No.
But they also managed to
But they also funded Amplitude, which we said last time. It's like that's probably not going to happen, but it totally happened.
It was really close to the line, wasn't it? Like they managed it on like the last day, didn't they, or something?
Yeah, I don't know the story, but all I know is that it happened, and that everyone was doubting that it would.
Yeah. So mysteriously,
but it happened.
It got a sudden injection at the end. Yeah, so that's good. And then they.
So maybe in 2 years' time there'll be a reason to buy a PS4.
Yeah. Is it PS4 only? I guess it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's Sony. So, there'll be. They say they're going to try and do a Vita version.
Yeah,
so,
makes sense.
There you go.
I always like that kind of game on handheld, almost, or the PSP like rhythm sort of. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Probably Lumines or whatever.
Yeah, but that's not really a rhythm game, really.
No, I suppose not.
I mean, I think it can work because it's sort of that short, snappy period of gameplay that handhelds thrive on for me.
Theoretically,
yeah. So I think it can work, but then again,
says Zach, the guy who plays 50-hour games on his handheld.
50-hour games, if you bravely default or whatever.
Yeah,
but then again, frequency and amplitude got so hard that I will want the most comfortable controller imaginable for that thing. Or a controller that will allow me to twist my fingers in a way that gets the speed that it requires.
Yes, but surely if you're using like the Vita, it will be using like left and right shoulder buttons and then one of the face buttons, and that's natural position.
Yeah, but there's like handhelds. They're not a controller. They don't feel the same.
Well, you get the choice. Hopefully, you get the PS4.
Hopefully,
yeah.
I'm just glad they got it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good on those guys. But they did just sack 27 people. Or some number close to that.
Yeah, they must have quite a few people.
And they lost their CEO or something.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. But that probably changes nothing. I don't know. But then again, 27 people is a chunk, but you might be right. Maybe that's because Fantasia dev is probably coming to an end.
Yeah, they just fired all their Connect people because they realised that Microsoft wasn't going to be supporting that any longer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, makes sense.
I really want to see how Fantasia turns out. Actually, it sounds interesting.
What's the deal with
Maybe
it?
not from Fantasia. It's like
it's like Dance Central, only not.
Only not. No, you sort of it puts arrows on screen, and you have to like conduct in the direction of the arrow.
Yeah.
To
wave your hands at them.
to play the song, but apparently it's more fun than it sounds.
Naturally,
and elements of it are, but they allow you to sort of remix songs on the fly. There are certain segments that if you complete, you then get to pick to change a part of the song. Right. So like, hey, change the lead into trumpets, or change the beat into dubstep, and it will vary by track what you can do. But there's quite a lot of combinations.
Cool, sounds good.
So that element alone sounds kind of interesting. And it's like whether or not that then twists the level and what you're doing in the level would be interesting to know. Like there might be some complications with that because of scoring, I guess, if they're doing like a competitive scoring thing. But then maybe that's part of the charm, to find a route that you can score better at. So you keep experimenting with the tune. I don't know. Sounds interesting. Fantasia, music evolved.
Oh, is that the tagline?
News.
Jesus.
Yeah,
and that's news. Yeah, very well put. So it's time to move on to what you've been playing. I hear you've been playing quite a lot this week, Rob.
I've been playing games.
Have you?
Playing games, man.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to go small to big or big to small?
Well, how much time have you been spending on any of these, really?
Some a reasonable chunk on some, yeah.
Go small then.
Go small.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's think. Smallest thing I've been playing that comes to mind is I started playing Child of Eden. No, not Child of Eden. Eden. It's just called Eden. PixelJunk Eden.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, I had Child of Light's box art in my head as I was saying that, and then saying, but it's Eden, it's a Child of Eden. Wait, that's a completely fucking different game.
Yeah, that was a different game.
Yeah. just PixelJunk Eden. I got around to sort of starting to play that because I was sort of in a bit of a. I've had a sort of shit couple of weeks for gameplay in the sense that nothing's really been grabbing me too much, like across everything that I've been that I'm about to talk about. So I've ended up sort of trying a lot of things, just sort of going, I don't feel like anything. Let's try this. So I tried Eden, and it's weird. Is the only way I can really describe it. It's like because I played the PS3 demo version of it a really long time ago.
Yeah,
because it's one of the earliest games that came out on that system that actually ran at 1080p on the PS3. And it was like, well, let's see what this looks like. Well, it's pretty sharp, but there aren't really graphics here.
No.
It's like a graphic design project, is what it is. It's arty. From the way it looks to the surreal ambient dance beats. It's like there's no real tunes, per se. There's no real melody. It's all just sort of ambient noise, which I guess is sort of good for a biologically or botanically themed game, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know, hard to describe. It all sort of fits, so it doesn't ever feel out of place, like the simplistic graphical look, the repetitive, slowly morphing beats, the gameplay, which is in itself sort of simple, in that you're just jumping around and swinging on silk that you create as a little imp-like thing.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the entire mechanic.
Like Spider-Man style.
Kinda. It's I think the simplicity of all the elements put together does work, and it is kind of cool from that perspective. But at the same time, there's not a lot of variation to the experience as you're going through. Like some of the levels are more interesting than others, but the game basically tasks you of just doing the same thing across 15 gardens, and each garden has 5 things that you have to collect.
Right.
But it could be quite awkward to get to some of those things. So the basic flow of the game is you jump from plant to plant, and you can grip to pretty much any surface, provided you're not trying to direct yourself when you touch something. So you can choose to fall through things if you're, say, holding right mouse button. But if you let go of it and don't direct your fall, then you'll attach to whatever's nearby.
Right, okay.
Wherever you next hit. So the trick to the control is to be able to guide yourself through the air and to land on the right things at the right time, because things wobble about because it's, grass and flowers and shit. So the trick to traversal is to do that whilst destroying these things called pollen prowlers, which burst open when you hit them. And the more you hit in a combination in one jump, the more pollen comes out. And then if you collect the pollen, which you can do either with your torso or with your silk that comes up that you're swinging on, that picks up pollen as well. That pollen then gets sent to a nearby seed, which you then have to land on, and that then opens and creates more plants for you to traverse. And you basically just keep doing that in various different ways until you reach what you need to reach. And so the levels do get more complex as you go along. Like there's stuff moves in different ways, or the jumps might become harder. The distances between things, for instance, might become more awkward. One level, for instance, starts you on the floor, and there's a cannon that fires you into the sky, and then the entire level is basically vertical from the top, and you play it from the top down. So you're trying to figure out how to get downwards safely without just falling to the bottom of the level.
Right.
And it's
so you can find yourself just falling freely, and then you're stuck.
Yeah, that level's pretty annoying.
Okay.
If I'm honest. But they do try and mix out, and you'll get teleporting things, and there are some enemy types that will try and shut you down. Not that it's really a bad thing to get hit, but you just lose control for a bit, which may screw up your jumps, which then may cause you to fall.
Mm-hmm.
There are some levels that are focused on using cannons, like just trying to traverse around certain bits. And
Sounds fun.
That's kind of the game. That's everything there is to it, and it just sort of keeps going. It's like you can't necessarily play it for super long spells because it does wear thin. I'm probably about a third of the way through collecting everything, and I've seen most of the gardens at least once thus far, and it's So yeah, I don't know. It seems to be lasting longer than I sort of expected. You'll probably get like, in order to get everything, probably take you about 8 odd hours, I reckon.
Was it? How much was it?
I think when I picked it up, it was super cheap, but I don't know what it is normally.
Okay.
Steam Saley stuff, I think, brings it down to like £1 or something.
Oh, really? Okay, that's not so bad. Okay.
But it's all right. It's all right. It's it's just a very different thing. I can't really think of a similar experience. So yeah, that's that. It's kind of interesting. You kind of have to be into that music style, though. I don't know, or sort of get it, because I think to some, if someone was in the room with you while you were playing this game, it could be pretty irritating.
Okay, to them, yeah.
Yeah, because, if you're on a level for about 10 minutes and you've got the same music, basic loop playing for 10 minutes, that could get pretty boring.
Yeah, fair enough.
But because you're in the level and stuff, it's not so bad. But I guess for some people, they just won't gel with them. That music style just won't work.
So check out a trailer or something. Make sure you're into the music style before you dive in.
Because it's all like that. All of it. Which may be, I guess, the biggest flaw, maybe. That perhaps it should be more varied in that respect. But maybe
in the musical area.
In the music,
Do you think it could work with different styles and stuff?
Possibly. Maybe for some levels that are slightly slower paced, maybe that they slow down the music to suit, or maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe because they limited themselves in how the mechanics work for the levels and stuff, that they can't necessarily do something that operates at a different speed, I guess, or a different feeling.
Yeah. Well, there must be some things they could do, like for a sequel or something. Well, I guess they could change the whole speed of it and go.
Then again, this game's Asian. I mean, I think it only came out on Steam not that long ago. Well, I say not that long ago, probably a couple of years now. But it came out on PlayStation not long after PlayStation was out.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's pretty old now. So I don't know what PixelJunk are up to these days.
I think they finished that series because I seem to remember they released a compilation that had all of them at some point.
Yeah, because they had this sort of annoying thing where all PixelJunk games have to have the PixelJunk logo at the bottom of the screen at all times and tell you this is game 4 or something in the series. Like PixelJunk is 3. Eden is 3, I think.
That is annoying.
Weird series.
Yeah. I forget what came after that, maybe Shooter or something. Although I think PixelJunk Monsters was kind of popular because it's sort of played. I don't know anything about it. I think it's a bit of a Facebook game thing,
right?
That sort of shit. And I think it did kind of well for them because that's all I really hear about PixelJunk these days. Is occasionally someone will say, "Hey, PixelJunk Monsters, blah blah blah." Don't care. So there you go. That's that.
Cool.
I can move on from there. I guess the second most played game second least played game was New Super Mario Bros. U. Right. I've sort of been dipping into that, but I don't find myself playing that for long periods of time.
And there's not anything to say about it either.
No, because it's a Mario game. I mean, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's I did the underwater stuff, and I've done some of the underwater level, and I did I've started on what's it called? Soda Forest or something?
Yeah.
Soda?
Started playing, well, the water's all poisoned. Stuff. It's Soda Jungle, that's it. It's like jungle levels, and some of those levels are kind of cool, and there are some ideas that have been there since, I don't know, Mario 3, Giant World is back.
Naturally.
For some levels. And it's great, but it's just not pulling me in. I don't know why. And the difficulty spikes are kind of annoying. There'll just be the occasional level that's just so much harder than the ones that surround it.
Right. Even the subsequent ones are suddenly easier again.
Yeah. Well, there's one level in particular. in the soda jungle, which you could just use to mine 1-ups super easily. Like, it gave me a little pop-up at the end of one of the levels. It's like, hey, you got more than 10 1-ups this level. Do you want to post about that?
What, you can post that shit to Facebook or to
the Miiverse? Yeah. But the game does Miiverse slightly more, I don't know, aggressively than I've seen elsewhere so far. Because it's like, if you do well on a level, it'll go, hey, well done, you got all the star coins. Do you want to post something about that? And it's like, oh, you seem to be having you seem like you had a hard time on that level, but you defeated it eventually. Do you want to write a letter to Bowser?
Awesome.
In 3 words, describe your experience with this level, or 2 words, isn't it? It's 2 words.
When we were watching the Weverse for a while, and there was like, you know that the thing that pops up is that it says 2 words, but the number of times you see words that are 3 words.
Yeah.
So apparently people can't manage 2 words.
2 words, I hate this level. It's like, what?
Fuck this shit.
Yeah. That's the thing. When you die and you've been dying a while, like it will pop up comments from other people that have also been struggling with the level.
Been dying, right? That's cool.
Yeah, and it will say things like, "Oh my god, so hard," and things like that, which is sometimes kind of nice to see if you're really struggling with it. That everyone else has been struggling with it as well.
Yeah, that is cool.
I always just like a bunch of dumb people posting dumb things.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily nice to see.
No,
so I'm stuck with the dumb crew.
Perhaps I should post that next time I'm dying a lot. It's like, oh, I'm stuck with the dumb messages.
I do like that kind of thing sometimes. In like, I remember seeing the. Do you remember Half-Life 2 Episode 2? They released like heat maps of like where everyone was dying in the levels.
Oh yeah.
And there was this massive hotspot over this confusing bit of level where you were kind of on a bridge above the kind of zombie infested part, and you had to get your car across a jump or something. And I think I fell off that bridge like 3 times or something, and I felt like an idiot.
I don't know if we got that far.
Yeah. But then I felt a lot better when I saw this giant hotspot of deaths.
Surely they should, in Half-Life 2 Episode 2, there should just been a gigantic hotspot at the end, because that whole fucking end bit was
yeah, that's true.
Pain in the ass and sucked.
I don't understand how anyone could get that fucking achievement where none of the
defend
buildings
every point.
Yeah.
Not possible.
It's just
but
impossible.
in easy mode.
Yeah, I guess.
Like that sawmill thing gets destroyed almost immediately, pretty much.
Yep, pretty much.
I never finished Episode 2.
Yeah.
It didn't grab me at all.
Episode 2 is really good. It's
I
better
found it
than
really
1.
annoying. I don't know.
It's certainly annoying in some ways.
Maybe that's something to go back to at some point.
I would do it. It's not that long, and the pacing is quite. I think that's probably some of the best Half-Life 2 stuff is in that one. That last one. I guess they were kind of honing.
Empty. You know, I mean, Half-Life 2 does. Oh, Half-Life in general kind of has a loneliness feel about it, but
it definitely does. Yeah.
Your interactions are even less in Episode 2.
Yeah, well, it takes a while. Yeah, it's only in the late stages where you get like to fight with. Do you get to fight in the city again in Episode 2?
I can't remember.
Oh no, you're fighting. You're going away from the city, aren't you?
Yeah.
You
start the car out, and it's all about the car.
Yeah. Well, I guess that at the end you do get to fight with loads of people, at least in that end part when you're defending the rocket launch.
Really.
Not really, because you're just like trying to,
because they're not actually capable of killing anything.
Not really, no. And you're just being followed by those mini striders, aren't you?
Fucking constantly
hunters
all the time.
Yeah,
I remember those things.
Yeah, those things are. I mean, they're a cool enemy. They're really hard to cope with.
It was just that whole section wouldn't have been so bad, except like I don't know why we're talking about this, but they made this mechanic where it's like you have to use the gravity gun to shoot the bombs onto the striders and then shoot the bomb, and then the bomb explodes and the strider dies. So it's like, well, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's
the Magnuson device thing.
Except for some reason they made it so that the hunters constantly shoot the bombs to destroy them, which makes sense in a context of the world where it's like obviously the little hunter things would want to defend the striders because they're on the same team or whatever, but it makes it fucking impossible because you're constantly having to like, oh shit, I've got to kill these striders before I can actually do the thing that I'm trying to do.
I seem to remember just having to just drive around and you got the car, didn't you? So I just had to just run them all over before I could fight the big striders.
Yeah.
Just run over all the mini striders. Because that was the only way I could effectively kill them without using all my ammo.
Yeah, because they were well hardy as well. It was just like that.
Yeah.
Not a good plan. It's like it wasn't even like shooting the bombs onto the striders was that easy. It was like you had to arc it in like, you know, a specific way.
Yeah, it was quite hard because they're quite small targets. No, fair
it was
enough.
just like, give me a fucking rocket launcher. I've killed hundreds of striders before with rocket launchers.
Rocket
it's well
launchers,
easy.
yeah.
Don't have to use this stupid bomb thing.
Yeah.
Why was that? I'm trying to even remember what the whole point of that was. Why they come up with this ingenious bomb system for destroying the striders rather than fucking rocket launchers?
It was basically because the guy was an asshole, right? He was like obsessed.
I remember that much.
I think he invented these stupid bombs and he was like, well, you're going to use them because I'm awesome. Probably.
We don't have to have any rocket launchers lying around.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Probably they did. And he was like, no, you're not allowed.
We've got to save. We've got to field test this shit, yeah.
Exactly. You've got to use the device that's named after me. You can't use something that was like invented
the Phil
by somebody else.
The Phil bomb.
So
anyway, sorry to.
I suppose the most surprising thing is I have actually been posting to Miiverse when it asks me.
Okay.
Like
not every time though.
Not every time. No, it asks quite a lot.
Yeah.
But on some of the harder levels, or like when I got the 10 1-ups, it's like I felt the urge to draw a 1-up mushroom.
Okay, good.
And just put 1-up get.
1-up get. Oh yeah.
You know, that kind
contribute with the most obvious thing possible.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, I will like warn people about the difficulty spiked levels or something like that. If I've had a real trouble with one, then I will post just to sort of say, don't worry, man. We've been there.
Okay.
That'll be the next message, actually. I haven't done one that's just worded like that. Don't worry, man. We got your back. So that's New Super Mario Bros. U. It's still fine. But,
cool.
As I say, for some reason, just isn't hooking me completely. So let's talk about FTL.
Yeah.
Okay, I was playing that this week.
Yeah, I saw. Or Faster Than Light. Or, as it probably should be known, Fuck That Luck.
Fuck that luck, yeah.
I have such a love-hate relationship with this game. Because I sort of adore it in some aspects. It's like when I'm playing it, I'm so in, and I'm so compelled by it, and I'm so invested, I think is the word, in this particular run, that I fall in love with it. And then, always then, there's a round where the odds are so stacked in your favour and you had no way of telling it was coming, and you die in seconds.
That's against you, surely. Yeah.
Well, either way, sometimes they can be stacked in your favour and you still completely fail for some reason.
Yeah, sorry. You're right. So, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and there's no way to go back or like you're fucked the whole game, right?
Yeah, or even if it's a fight that is in your favour, there could just be some random event happen, like a combination of a fire just happens in a certain place at a certain time. Just a single fire that could just fuck you up totally, and then you're dead. And it's like, well, the last half hour is a fucking waste. And then you feel really frustrated and really bad and angry at the game for doing that.
Basically, what needs to happen is I need to watch Rob play this, which we might make a video of.
Because I've had fantastic runs. I had a run where I had 4 guns. I'd stumbled upon helpful engineers several times, so I had a ton of power in my reactor and enough to power all the guns. Had 3 shield stuff by Sector 5.
Yeah.
5 crew members, a shit ton of scarp. I thought, I'm on top of the world, I'm going to do it this time. And then came across a Mantis ship with a teleporting bomb launcher and I think 2 or 3 missile launchers. So my shield was then worthless. And then every shot I fired, so I had iron cannons, I had the burst laser from the start, I also had a hull laser, and I also had a stronger hull damaging missile.
Yeah.
So basically, within the first couple of seconds, my weapon system gets fucked totally by the missiles, and it's like, well, I better go repair this shit then. But of course, everything's just hitting my hull, and I had 75% at the start of this fight. So I've lost a good 25% within the first barrage, and it's like, holy fuck, how am I going to get out of this? And then I think, okay, maybe I need to just jump out of this one.
Yeah.
And of course, the engine then gets hit,
Obviously.
so I can't. And you're like, fuck! And it just snowballed from there. There was zero I could do about it because fucking mantis shit with nothing but missiles. Fuck. And it's like this supremely beautiful run just came to an end.
Why didn't you miss all their weapons, mate? Or did you just miss?
That was you've hit the nail on the head there. It's like most of the time when something goes wrong and I'm in a real difficult fight, it's like all of a sudden your weapon systems become useless because they miss every shot. And you're like, fuck this game. I've lost on a dice roll.
That's why you need one of those teleporting bombs. I'm pretty sure those have been pretty much essential to me for every run that's got anywhere.
For something that's 100% hit, basically.
Well, it's not, because they can miss. But
Maybe.
they seem pretty
How
reliable.
does that work?
But they just teleport outside the ship.
Oh, fucking hell. I just hate them. And then you just immediately start another run.
Yeah.
Immediately. I just can't. You're so angry at it, and you're so like annoyed at the how could it have gone like that kind of thing.
That's how roguelikes work, I guess.
And then the same thing fucking happens, like probably in Sector 1 this time.
Yeah.
And you're like, bah! But for that half hour before the shit goes down,
it's all good.
It's fantastic. And I love the music. I mean, now I've been playing it properly. And I've had the soundtrack through a Humble Bundle like for a while, and it's occasionally come up on my Winamp list and stuff.
Yeah.
And and it's pretty great stuff there. But in the context of the game, it's fantastic. Love the soundtrack. So I really don't know how I feel about it as a whole as a problem. It's like I've kind of been steering myself away from it, and Gnome doesn't really want me to play it because naturally you always end on a downer.
Right, every time you can't finish it without being like, oh, well, because it's
sake. Yeah. And then you put it down, like, because it's you've got to go to sleep.
And then you're angry while you're sleeping. That doesn't seem like that should be a problem.
Going to bed annoyed is not pleasant.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure Gnome particularly wants me to play it because every time I sort of finish it, it's like, it's great up until you die for no reason. Then she hears me rant about it, and then she's like, "Well, don't play it," which is obviously the answer that people give.
Obviously.
So I don't know, man. I mean, what's your experience been then?
Mine, well, I'm crap at it because I haven't played it very much. So yeah, I had obviously I had that experience, but I thought this is going to be par for the course pretty much. But like, it's all going fine, and then suddenly everyone dies, and I was like, well, what is it always? If you don't get blown up, can you pretty much recover, or do you think?
Sort of.
Like I lost like my whole crew pretty much. Because
I have had one game where I lost all of my crew, and then had an extremely good run of luck for the next few jumps where I basically got my crew back.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then, like 2 jumps after that, it all went to shit again, and it's like, well, this is done. But I mean, you get some. There are times when you can recover, but I think, or you'll get killed by something other than what the problem was.
Right.
Like a few runs ago. Like I had one run where I just ran out of fuel because no salvage was giving me fuel, and there were no stores. I came across the 0 stores, and it's like, well, there's fuck all I can do about that. And it's like, it's annoying, but kind of okay, I suppose, because that's just the way that felt, the way that landed.
Yeah. I mean,
then you get the ones where it's like, oh shit, I'm really bad for fuel, and then you'll have a couple of runs and you'll get tons of fuel, and it's like, okay, fine, no problem, carry on, and then you'll just die from fire or
like
one of
a
those
massive
fucking
fire
sun
started,
levels.
I think. Where you got the radiation or whatever.
Well, the solar flare.
Oh, is that
like,
that's a solar flare. Yeah.
Or the plasma storms, they're pretty irritating.
Well, the plasma storms are the worst one. Plasma storms are worse than the sun. Fire isn't too difficult in theory.
Well, unless your oxygen bay gets hit.
Well, yeah.
Why? Because you can just extinguish it with the venting. Yeah. But
you just
and
need
then
to keep it under control, basically.
Or if your door control gets hit, because that's a fucker.
Is the venting a lot more effective? I guess it's a lot more effective than trying to fight the fire with your dudes.
Well, it's because when you're fighting the fire, your crew takes so much damage, it's almost not even worth bothering unless they're standing in the medbay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
Whereas the Iron Swords, it's just like, especially if you can't see what the enemy's using, if you haven't upgraded the sensors at all, which now they've added another layer of the sensor upgrade, so you don't get the view what enemy is using until like another step than you used to.
Oh, I'm not playing Advanced Edition, but presumably that's a
that's gone back into the original as well.
Oh, has it?
It's like door control costs more now, the first upgrade.
Oh, does it?
Because I always used to immediately purchase door control with the scrap you start with, but then they increase the cost.
It's like 35.
Yeah, they increase the cost, so you can't do that anymore. But it's still the first thing I always buy, because why wouldn't you have blast doors?
Well, because intruders aren't always a problem. Like it's
not the point. The point is that
stop fire spreading. You mean?
Well, stop fire spreading is useful as well, but also if you have blast doors, then you can just damage them so much from venting.
What, the doors?
No, the intruders. You just vent vent every section, and then because they take ages fighting through the doors, you can just keep venting them. And most of the time, you might not even have to put your crew into combat. They just take so much damage they warp out.
Mm.
So what are the best upgrades? Would get that one first, I guess. I
don't know, man. I double my shields up pretty early.
Shields.
Yeah, I go for shields. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then basically drone systems as soon as you can.
Yeah,
as soon as you have a chance.
I've never had. That's the thing that hasn't happened to me yet. I've never had a run where I could get an operational drone system, or I've had enough scrap at the right time.
You just always need to. You basically need to save about 100 scrap.
A defense drone sounds like the most awesome thing. If I'd had a defense drone on my fight against the.
Well, they still wouldn't have called almost missiles if they had 3.
No, but I might have been able to face some of them.
Basically, I'm fairly sure you need a drone bay on all ships, regardless of what else you're doing, just because the defense drone is so useful for mitigating the missiles, and also it helps a lot the end boss as well. And then apart from that, the other important upgrades is if you have a drone bay, obviously you want the drone recovery arm, so you don't have to worry about drone parts any longer.
Yeah. And
then you want the scrap recovery arm to just get more scrap.
But then it's easy to say that stuff, but then the majority of the time, none of those opportunities arise. It's like I just didn't have the one time I have had a drone bay once. And that was because I did buy it.
Yeah.
Preemptively after your advice, basically, get drone bays. So I bought it and I got that shitty thing.
The one it comes with.
Yeah. But then didn't find any drones or come across a store anytime soon after that, and it's like, well, this is a fucking waste of time.
But you've still got the shitty one attack drone.
I did, yeah.
Small amounts of extra damage.
Didn't really help. That run went to shit pretty quick.
Also,
do you play in the normal mode?
I'm playing normal difficulty, not advanced.
Normal.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I still haven't even played the advanced mode yet.
Although, at least I don't feel so bad about sucking so bad on normal difficulty. Apparently that's not uncommon.
Well, apparently.
I don't know. Podcasts talk about it, don't they? That they enjoyed easy mode but didn't like normal mode.
Yeah. The trouble is I think there's too much gap between easy and normal. It's like on easy you just get too much, whereas on normal you don't get enough, but that's kind of the point. And then it's like I think easy makes it too far, goes too far towards giving you tons of extra.
I haven't actually played an easy run yet, so I wonder if I should do that just to sort of know what.
No, harden it up.
No, really?
Just keep playing normal until
just stick with it.
Get the plans.
All right, stick with it.
And also another important pro tip, I guess: don't buy Defense Drone 2.
Oh, really?
You might think that's an upgrade, but it's totally not actually. Basically, Defense Drone 1 only uses 2 power and Defense Drone 2 uses 4. So that's a lot of extra power for a start. And secondly, the Defense Drone 2 can shoot down laser bolts. But because it can shoot laser bolts, oftentimes it will be shooting at a laser bolt while it should be shooting at other stuff.
The missiles. So you're better off having more Defense Drone 1s?
Yeah, I'd go for 2 Defense Drone 1s if you can. I mean, Defense Drone 2 does have certain applications, because it can shoot, it shoots faster as well. So in theory, it can shoot down more stuff. But it's you only want it to be targeting missiles, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the shields, then that's what your shields are for.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
And also, it's the same at the end boss as well. I think just having 1 or more Defense Drone 1s is for the power usage of the Defense Drone 2, you might as well have 2 1s. Or just 1 1 is enough.
1 1.
So yeah, don't buy that. The pro tip. That's what I say.
Noted.
Of course, maybe some people think that's dumb.
So I sound like 8 hours into this, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm still sort of sucking. So,
That's why I need to see you play it. I can give you the actual pro tips,
Yeah,
which
I
is to
guess.
say all the tips, I guess.
yeah. I don't know. I'm not figuring it out fast enough for my patience.
Did you get any tips from anywhere, Zach, or did you just learn it all?
No, I just got it, I guess. I don't know. The only thing that I maybe saw tips about was when I was like trying to figure out how you even do a teleporter play. It's like, because using teleporters as basically your main weaponry, you have to do it it's a completely different strategy basically. And I'd worked out the normal strategy, but I hadn't worked out myself how you really play teleporter. But then I looked at a couple of things and I was like, oh yeah, that sort of makes sense. I can understand how you put that together now.
Yeah, you see, I haven't looked anything up because I kind of thought that might be the game. is the figuring out part?
Well,
and
yeah,
I didn't want to necessarily feel stupid.
it kind of is the game, I suppose.
But I feel stupid, so it's like that plan hasn't worked for me. So
I mean,
so I will become your apprentice.
I guess it's like once you unlock other ships as well, because they naturally trend towards different playstyles. Like, obviously, the Mantis ships have teleporters.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play a teleporter run, might as well start with a Mantis ship. Rather than trying to buy the teleporter later.
Yeah, makes sense. So that's fuck the luck.
Apparently.
Fuck the luck, yeah.
Futtle. And I will talk about one other thing.
Really?
Which is Mario Kart 8.
Woo!
It's so trumpet filled.
Yeah, it's extremely trumpet. It's
So
like
much.
maybe
Full of
excessively
trumpets.
trumpet filled.
There's so many trumpets. I'm down with the trumpets.
Yeah,
It's mostly trumpet based.
totally is.
It's kind of cool because it's like, I think this might be the first Mario Kart game where a lot of it is performed, like the music.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's
I mean, they're gradually
real
getting
trumpets.
towards that, aren't they? Yeah, real trumpets.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they started with Zelda, but they've got. Did they start with Zelda? I don't know, but they've got like fully orchestrated shizzle these days.
Yeah. It's quite nice. I mean, it did sort of remind me of Sonic at times because Sonic have been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily that's a good thing, but in places it sounds really awesome, especially like with some of the remixed stuff, like from the past
games.
levels, and they brought it all up to date, and it's kind of cool.
Nice.
So Mario Kart 8, yeah, that happened. That got delivered to me a day early as well.
Oh, good.
Oh, hooray!
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And how
It
you
was a
finding
great
it?
morning, actually, because I got the email through saying your order has been dispatched, and then about an hour later it arrived, and it's like, what the fuck?
Okay.
Sweet.
How did that happen? Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I also, Kat gave me a present today.
Oh, good.
Like,
I'm sure that was great.
oh, it's the best. It's not even a rare present like you'd think.
Well, that wasn't what I was thinking, but okay.
That's normally what people like.
A
refer
rare
to as,
present.
like my pet gave me a little gift. It's like, no, brought me a dead bird this morning.
Well, that's more.
I was going to guess that. Yeah, dead bird.
Well, that
Apparently, only Rob
Standard.
thinks about poops.
well, that hadn't happened before. Like, Cat's normally pretty good at like not killing things.
Well, that's fine, you know it.
But
It's bad at being
not
a cat, in other words.
Well, he might have just found the bird, in fairness. That's probably more like Vinny. Just found the dead bird. It was like, here, look at that. But she didn't just like... she actually brought it to me, which isn't something that she normally does with these things. She like brings them inside, maybe,
She
and
just
then
puts them
meows.
somewhere and meows them. Oh,
Yeah. No, this one, I was sat at my PC desk. She just walks in and puts it at my feet. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I just go, oh, God!
Okay.
There's a fucking bird under my chair.
Awesome.
Disinfectant
Did you-
fucking came out. And it's like, oh, fucking... Some mysterious fluid at some point in the floor. It's like, well, I don't know what that is. Sort of brown.
Okay.
Sort of brown dead bird insides.
Yeah, so the gift of day, early Mario, followed by the gift of bird. There you go. Fucking cats. So Mario Kart 8. If I'm totally honest, I don't know how I feel about it.
Really? Okay. What's the deal?
Okay. It's the best looking Mario Kart game there's ever been. And that's probably not that difficult to achieve, because the first time they've had this much power. But it is a good look. It's like...
Probably one of the best looking games on the system, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. It's they've got the balance right between that Nintendo style and making things like lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
sort of work in the Mario universe. They've done a damn good job at how that thing looks,
and that's cool because they could take that, to Mario games going forward could have all these fancy lighting effects and still be Mario.
It wouldn't be out of place, say, in the Galaxy series to sort of use some of the look that they have for this, or maybe. That's kind of what happened, but the other way around. There are like little subtle things that we didn't really notice until we saw like the highlight reel as well. Like, characters just coming out of the water are slightly shinier for a brief period of time, presumably to make them look slightly damp.
Right.
There's actually quite a lot of detail.
Yeah, attention to detail. That's cool.
There's little things like I kind of like how the characters now hold the weapon they have, so you can sort of see what other races have.
Well, they did do that since Double Dash.
I don't remember it in the Wii version.
Maybe not in the Wii version. They did in Double Dash anyway. Because in Double Dash you had two.
In Double Dash you had a dude just to hold the item, yeah. But then herein lies the problem. Double Dash is my favourite one.
Yeah.
Like, for mechanics and the level designs that they introduced, and just because it's the best place to fucking play Baby Park, which is awesome.
Obviously.
Just to have a stupid weapon fight. And the weapons were interesting because of the special stuff,
Kinda.
Giant fucking bananas on Baby Park, man. That's the trick. Or the giant Uber Bowser shell. That shit was awesome.
Yeah.
So in some ways, Mario Kart 8 feels a little stripped back, because it's sort of, I think they've attempted to go for addition by subtraction. So it's like the weapon, there are a couple of new weapons, but the actual weapon variety still isn't at Double Dash's level. So to me, that's always going to be not as good.
Step back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the weapons that they've added seem sort of fine. I mean, they removed the PAL brick, which probably isn't a bad thing. And they've brought the coin system back to the console. Like, so you pick up coins as you're going around the lap to slightly improve your top speed, which is kind of nice because it gives you something to do when you're out in the lead, I guess, to just find the coins for no reason at all. But I don't know. It's sort of strange because it's still Mario Kart, but doesn't feel like they've put enough thought into it. Like, it doesn't feel different enough. It doesn't feel clever enough.
Well, I think my problem with it from just playing it literally just before we started recording this for a while.
I thought I'd better show him before we start talking about it. It's like,
I think it's just like the track design is kind of poopy.
Yeah,
it's just like they have their anti-gravity thing, but like literally every track has it, and it's completely arbitrary. And it's like they don't design courses; they're just like, we're going to design. It's like they've just drawn a line on a piece of paper, and it's like, that's the shape of the course, and then we're just going to apply a visual style to it. It's like, they haven't designed courses that fit the environment. They've designed environments that just texture the course.
And that's not true of all things.
Well, not all of them.
Yeah, there are some where it's like, okay, the weirdest one is probably Mario Circuit, where it's like...
It's just like, we're just going to have an upside-down bit for no apparent reason.
And with trees growing upside down.
Yeah.
And, of course. And perfectly... this forever in the shade thing seems to grow grass pretty good. Yep. It's like, it looks fine, but, it's sort of like, I don't know, doesn't feel right sometimes. But that doesn't really add anything. No. It's like the anti-grav doesn't really add anything other than their ability to sort of twist your vision occasionally. And it's like the only real quirk to it is that if you collide with another, because your wheels go on the side, if you collide with something else that's sort of wheel-like and is also spinning, it spins you around and you actually get a boost out of it.
Yeah.
So that's the one minor quirk of the anti-grav, and I don't think that's used enough. I mean, you can sort of do it off your opponents, which can be interesting. Because in theory, that means if two of you are neck and neck, you can keep bumping against each other and get a boost, which will help you get either further ahead or through the pack. So you sort of end up working together a little bit. So it adds that sort of weird quirk. But this is the first one I've played because they introduced it in 7 with the transformation stuff, like the underwater and the flying. I just think it adds nothing. Like, because underwater handles no different from above water. It sort of animates slightly different, but the handling is exactly the same. So what have you gained there, other than some bubbles? And the flying just means it's always in a straight line, and there's never enough in the air to really avoid.
Well, there isn't anything in the air, usually.
There's a couple of levels where there's some stuff to do, but it's very basic. And it's just like, well, this is downtime. This is like the flying section is like, this is a period of the lap I can take a little nap.
It's just like, maybe I want to stay in the air for longer because apparently that's faster than driving for some reason.
Yeah, flying is faster. Yeah, slightly. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just like coming off the back of Transformed, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed.
Yeah, how does it compare with that, with Sonic?
I find Sonic Racing just more interesting a game. It's probably not as slick. I mean, that's the one thing you should say. The Mario Kart presentation and the way it feels and kind of everything about it is slick as hell.
Right, yeah.
It's a massively high-quality production here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the track design in Transformed is more interesting. The way you have to deal with the multiple handling styles is more interesting. The differences between characters feels more pronounced.
They've got rid of
the differences
idea
between
of like
characters.
heavy or light characters or whatever.
Yeah, so the characters no longer have a weight class.
Okay, that's cool.
Which the characters no longer affect the handling of the kart. The only thing that affects the handling of the kart is the kart, which you can sort of modify, like the chassis, the wheels, and your glider part.
Right.
Not that the glider part does anything.
I mean, it gives you something.
That's a visual.
It gives you it's very slight, but I don't really know what it does. It's like it gives you the collectibles are sort of like a hook as that regard, like a reason to keep playing, a reason to find things to do. I guess other things. Yeah, what else can I get? But I think the collectible stuff is all kind of tied to the coins, as far as we know.
But it's not actually collectible at all, really. I mean, it's probably
a fixed order of unlock.
Well, yeah, it's probably balanced in exactly the same way that Mario Kart is always, where it's just like the unlock. Yeah, they've introduced the coins, so theoretically you can get like more coins or less coins. Except you're probably not going to. You're probably just going to get the same amount of coins.
Yeah, we always seem to unlock something at a regular pace of something per race or something per GP.
Yeah. So it's like, really, that's just the same unlock system again, as you unlock the characters at the end of every GP as well. And everything will be unlocked by the time you've done 150cc and all cups.
Yeah.
As is traditional.
I mean, the handling feels good.
Yeah.
It feels Mario Kart. Yeah. But,
well, that's good. That's important.
Yeah. If anything, it feels a bit tighter than how the Wii version handled, but not as weirdly janky as the Double Dash handling, which I really like still. Yeah. I like the jankiness of it because you could feel the weight in those cars.
Yeah, it's like you don't really feel anything in this, I don't think. It's like, it's very... And as you said, it's like the different transformations don't affect the handling at all. It's just all the same, which can be kind of confusing in some cases. Which is like, this looks like it should be doing something different, but it drives exactly the same.
I think if Transformed hadn't have happened, I would feel a lot better about Mario Kart 8.
Right.
And,
I don't know.
And so far, actually, it's been stupid easy.
Yeah.
Like, playing 50cc's is like, it's just a waste of your time, but you kind of have to do it to get all of the stuff. Yeah, to get all the gold trophies or whatever and the star ratings, but it's so easy. It's like you spend the majority of your time half a lap ahead.
Right.
And it's a good way of learning the courses, I suppose, but it's just no challenge. You're not in the fight. You're picking up items you can do nothing with, and kind of dull. But I have played some online, and the online seems a much better experience.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because you're in the fight. You're playing against humans. It's like you don't have
yeah.
shitty AI to deal with. And
how is dealing with, humans? Like,
it's fine because they don't talk because of Nintendo's policies.
Okay,
Like, there's no voice chat unless you have like friends in the room, in which case you can only enable it for friends.
I see. Okay.
And I think you have to opt in to talking to even your friends. Like, there's a button press you have to do to turn the mic on the gamepad, and you have to be using the gamepad to do that,
right?
Because mic and camera on the gamepad, that kind of stuff. But it's sort of fine. You just say, I want to play a regional race, please, and it puts you in a room, which I think, I'm not sure what the speed is or the difficulty. I think it's like 100cc rather than 150 or something, seems to be the normal for Mario Kart multiplayer. But it puts you there, and then you get put in a random room. Everyone votes on the track they want. It does a roulette between the votes. Like, it doesn't just go for the one that everyone voted for. It sort of just cycles through all the votes and picks one at random that way, which I kind of like. But there's some weird quirks to that lobby system, because it's like you can send. It has a set of like canned responses that people can send, so you can like put a speech bubble in front of your on top of your character, which you can pick from a list. But you can only do that after you've voted. And one of the options is let's wait for more players. But the way that you wait for more players is to not vote. So you have to put your vote in and then say let's wait and hope the other players do that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't know. There's some dumb things like that. You can't say bye until you've voted, for instance. So you have to vote for a track, then go to the text thing and say, I'm leaving now, and then exit the lobby.
Oh, that's annoying.
I don't know. Those elements are still a bit quirky. That's just Nintendo.
Yeah, that's pretty much
They
just
don't
Nintendo.
get online.
No, apparently not. And they probably will never fix that either.
But then you play the race, and it's fine. Multiplayer, I guess, is what Mario Kart is made for. And the online experience during a race has been faultless. I've not had a lag problem. I've not had...
Nice.
I've just had zero issues. And it's been great. And it has like an ELO skill system. So your rank goes up, your number goes up if you win against better players than you, that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
So there's a hook there to make your number go bigger, I guess. So I think that's... Unless you get into the time trial stuff, which Mario Kart fans tend to, I think that's where you will want to spend your time. Because so far, that's just been the most interesting thing. Actual races against actual people. And, a 12-player race against real people is kind of cool. It's a bit anarchic. That's what Mario Kart is for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds great. So you can have, like, 2 people in the room playing in a 12-player race online. Can you?
Yes, that's allowed as well. Split screen a 2-player split screen will work online, but only 2-player. So you can't bring 4 of you into a room.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have the equipment to try either, but I think my original comments that I made a while ago about there being 5-player local multiplayer support because of the fact that the gamepad could make up a screen. Yeah, I think that's rubbish. I think it only supports 4.
Oh, okay.
Well, also
although I don't have the equipment to try.
Also, when you tried switching it to the gamepad mode, and it doesn't actually get rid of the split screen.
Oh yeah, if you're playing 2-player, like one person using the gamepad and one person using a Wii wheel, then and I say
both the screens remain split screen.
Yeah, you still see the split screen view on the gamepad, which would have been nice if it could have gone like, the main screen shows just Zach, say, and I just get the gamepad view. So we both get a better view of the action.
Unless there's just some way to tell that we didn't find.
Well, there's zero options. And the game is not very transparent about how it works. The way you find out anything about how Mario Kart works is you have to use the Wii U's manual function.
Yeah.
So you bring up the home screen on the gamepad and push manual. And then you get an online... There's no in-case thing. There's a quick start guide, which basically gives you some simple controls, but doesn't really tell you anything you need to be good at the game. The manual's not bad, actually, the online one, but it's like, I don't know, I'm not used to games not describing anything.
not telling you anything. Yeah.
Yeah, not telling you anything. I mean, it says
Okay.
nothing to you.
Well, I don't know, like, you probably don't want a Mario Kart tutorial, really. I don't know, maybe you do.
I mean, I don't, but...
Well, no, but I mean, that would be a weird thing to have, like, some kind of kart tutorial.
Well, I don't know, for people that perhaps haven't played the DS version, like, what do the coins do, for instance?
Yeah, that's not even obvious when you know what they do.
No, I mean, it's so subtle. And I had to go look that up just to be sure. It's like, what do the coins do? Oh, mild top speed increase, okay. It's like how it used to be. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's a high-quality product. I think if I had bought it and hadn't got Sonic Lost World as a freebie, maybe the value proposition would seem kind of shit to me.
Right.
But that's Nintendo, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. They're never like... I mean, there's value, but they charge so much that then that... it's not because it's necessarily a small game. It's because it's always top whack or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
As I say, it is the slickest of the slick, but I'm just not sure it's as interesting as Sonic Racing was. Well, specifically Transformed, anyway. Not the first one.
No.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Not Sonic R, no.
That was interesting in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was...
Yeah.
That was interesting.
That was the dumbest game.
Sort of enjoyed it for its quirks, though.
Yeah. Like Sonic R, not Sonic R, Sonic Riders.
Yeah. Quirky game. Flawed as hell, but somewhat enjoyable because it's weird. That's kind of all there is to say, really.
Cool. I'm sure you'll play more of it.
And the bikes. That was surprising.
They got rid of. They basically made bikes handle exactly like carts and got rid of the distinction between them.
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing actually
because
they're the same now. A bike handles no differently from a cart. Because in Wii they introduced the idea that a bike you'd pull a wheelie on it on a straight to get a mild speed boost, but the drawback was you could only get the first level of mini boost as you drifted.
Yeah.
So the idea was is that you couldn't abuse the drift mechanics as much. And you would have to abuse the straights.
Right. Interesting.
By wheeling. But wheeling put you in a sort of vulnerable position. So, for me, at least, it was too vulnerable. Like, I preferred being in a cart. But they've just removed that distinction. Like, I think it's a bit of a shame. It's like...
Yeah. At least
I don't think you gain much by removing what little you have if you're a Mario Kart game.
It's the same with the weight classes. I mean,
yeah.
In some ways it was annoying, but it was still a thing to mess with.
And it did make people feel different.
Yeah. And it also made it like I don't know, more realistic for when Bowser is sitting in this tiny cart and it looks really weird because it's fucking huge.
Did you eventually have to unlock the restriction for heavy characters using light cars?
No, you couldn't do it.
Oh.
Heavy couldn't go in light.
I know you couldn't.
Heavy.
I know you couldn't in Double Dash, but I didn't know if in Mario Kart Wii that they.
No, I don't think they did.
Messed around with that.
Or did they? No,
I think some of the carts were just too small.
Well, yeah, that was why there was a restriction. Really, it was a visual thing. So yeah, I haven't actually played.
So that's Mario
Sonic
Kart
yet that I got free. So that will be next time,
oh, really?
I suppose.
Okay,
but then again, it might
time.
not be next time because of E3.
Maybe. Or maybe we'll just do a pre-E3 podcast like we did last time.
Yeah. I really hope fucking E3 has some shit to say because it's looking kind of bleak out there. Like, I don't know what's coming. I don't really know what I'm not psyched
what
for
are we
a lot.
excited for?
No.
Yeah. What did you say? Zach?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That was
You're not
what I was
excited about
saying.
anything. Nothing coming up.
Don't think I can think of anything.
Smash Brothers.
Wait,
Apart from Smash Bros.
I thought of one thing. Oh, well, apart from that, I thought of one thing that theoretically there's that new Alpha Centauri in theory.
What you mean, Civ
Yeah,
Space?
the Civ Space.
That was called.
Far Cry 4?
But that's only a theoretical excitement. Because
I
that could still be another Civ expansion, basically.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Far Cry 4 because I haven't played 3. And
Right.
the closest I've got to it is Blood Dragon, which I'm not sure is a good
No,
good thing to draw that impression from. I will play Far Cry 3 this year, probably. But will, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends if I can stop playing Plants vs. Zombies.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's just that one's got the draw, that's for sure. The plant draw.
Good.
Drawing
good.
Drawing in water through its roots. Plant roots. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
See what you did there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Zeg, what have you been playing is the question.
Well, there's been lots of little bits of stuff again because I still haven't managed to decide on what I want to play.
Something to play,
I guess I've infected Rob with it now. Is what apparently has happened.
Yeah.
So there's only really two things that I need to talk about, and I've already forgotten one of them. So this is
There's one thing. There's one thing you need to talk about. Okay.
Was one of them Bravely Default? Please say no.
No, I haven't really played that at all.
Good.
I still haven't manoeuvred myself into the plan of the free save files plan to just do the different endings and have a save file for the full completion or whatever.
You've had to call it the grinding.
I was going to, but there's not really any grinding to it. So I'm practically at maximum level, as well as having all the jobs unlocked. So, I didn't really play that. Then, I still can't remember what the other thing was. Well, God damn it, I didn't really want... The trouble is, I remember there's another thing, and I remember that it's not something new, and I've got something new to talk about, so I wanted to talk about the other thing first, but I forgot what it was. Oh, but there is one thing.
Skyrim? You went shitting daggers again?
I wasn't shitting daggers.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is the thing, but I've remembered something. Which is that just before I came here, I was playing Super Hexagon, and I finally finished Hexagonist.
Hey!
Hooray! Well
so
done.
now I only have to do Hyper Hexagonist, which I don't think is going to happen. Hexagonist was already pretty goddamn difficult, but Hyper Hexagonist is fucking ridiculous. Although, the trouble with it is, like, I probably would have got through Hexagonist much quicker if you would have been able to play Hyper Hexagonist without having to unlock it by completing Hexagonist. You play Hyper Hexagonist, and then you go back to regular Hexagonist, and it's like, well, it's super easy now. Because as soon as you start getting accustomed to the insanity of the final level, and then go back to its easier version, it's like, wow, this is so much easier. Mm. And also, there is technically, like, sort of an ending to the Super Hexagon. There's meant to be an ending when you complete Hyper Hexagonist, but there's also, like, an ending at the end of Hexagonist as well. Like, I got to, like, 68 seconds, and then it cuts to, like, a cutscene, sort of. Except It's just, like, the triangle and the hexagon, and there's just an infinite wall that comes in and crushes you.
Oh.
And then it goes to the credits. It's like, well, okay then.
So you can't actually keep going in Hexagonist?
Well, you can. You can go back to it, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was weird. But I did that at last. Fucking ridiculous. And maybe I'll show you Rob Hyper Hexagonist after this, because it's really ridiculous.
That game fucking just screws with my head at the best of times, so, like, I dread to think.
Yep. Oh, and I remembered another thing I was playing some of for no particular reason. I went back to Rogue Legacy again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't remember whether
I don't know if you went back after all the patches, did you?
Yeah, I did go back after that. That's what this new save file was, but I can't remember where this save file was. I think I'd only just completed the regular game in this save file, so it was in New Game Plus 1. Mm. So I did New Game Plus 1, and now I've got back to New Game Plus 2, where everything is ridiculous.
I actually haven't played Plus 2. I only played Plus 1, and then sort of stopped.
Did you get to the end of Plus 1?
Yeah, I finished a Plus 1. Because that was quite easy.
Yeah, yeah. Once you get used to it.
Yeah.
But Plus 2 is where everything is a level 3 enemy.
Yeah.
Whee! Bullets! So yeah, I played some more of that. And actually I've nearly unlocked everything. Like literally, like all the levels of everything.
No, really? Wow.
Because I just make so much money.
Mm.
Because once you get good enough to actually just clear the whole castle every run, you just make so much money. Unlock all those stats. So yeah, there was that. And now the actual new thing, I guess, because that one of those two was probably the thing I was thinking of.
Right.
The actual new thing that I played played Transistor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought Rob was going to play, but then he didn't. But I guess he has plenty of other games to play.
Yeah. So it's like I liked Bastion, but I I'm sort of intrigued by Transistor because it sounds crazy, but it's like I like Bastion more for its aesthetic and its style than I did its game.
Right.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
So I'm sort of looking at Transistor with that sort of, am I going to totally enjoy this? I mean, I know it's wildly different, but...
Well, it has a hella aesthetic, I guess, but then it's a totally different kind of game from Bastion.
Yeah,
sort of.
It's a sort of semi-RPG, isn't it? Or...
Well, it's like... The weird thing about it is there's a lot of discussion about people talking about what their setup is, because you can equip these different skills and everything.
Yeah, that system sounds insane.
It's fairly insane, but it leads to the natural result of like you just find the one combination that's overpowered or good,
or works for you, I suppose.
Well, not even just work for you. You just like some of them are fairly obviously just better,
right?
And you're like, well, I guess that's the power maneuver. So yeah, the power system is like you have your 4 active skills, which is your 4 buttons on your controller or whatever. I guess I played with the controller because I'm pretty sure you probably wouldn't want to play it with keyboard. I think it naturally suits controller better, just for ease of access to those buttons and like the way you move around and stuff.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, Bastion benefited from mouse aim.
Yeah,
yeah, you're probably right. On Transistor, probably doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, you don't really need to aim most of the time, or at least not as accurately, I imagine. So you have your 4 active skills that you can put in the 4 face buttons, and then each of those skills has an upgrade slot at the start, and then you can unlock like a second upgrade slot for each of them. So you can slot any of the other extra skills you have into those upgrade slots to change how the primary skill works. And then all of the skills can also go into a passive slot that you unlock eventually, or up to 4 of them, that give you passive buffs. So each of the different skills you have can go into any of those 3 slots. So you can combine things however you...
Can you only use a function once? Like, can you only use it in one of the slots at a time? So you can't like just stack like, I want the primary, secondary, and passive for this thing.
Well, if you go into like basically New Game Plus, you basically unlock duplicates as you keep leveling
I see.
up.
So you can mess it further.
Yeah.
Huh.
Although you can't. When you have 2 upgrade slots on a skill, you can't have the same thing in both of those.
Oh,
so you can't double the effect.
Okay. I probably didn't think of that.
But you can stack the same skill onto itself to have its upgrade effect on top of its normal effect.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the ridiculous skill system. And then I've seen a lot of people discussing whether like basically you have a dash skill that you get like immediately at the start of the game, or very shortly after the start of the game, where obviously you just dash. And that's like super useful for evading attacks and like maneuvering around the environment while you're in combat.
Is it sort of like the equivalent of the roll? Or...
Sort of, except it's more like a teleport, I guess, because you just don't...
Oh, okay. Right.
You dash, but you don't. There's no hitbox in the middle. You just dash across. So that skill by itself is... But the way I play it is you use that skill... Most of the skills don't come out very quickly or at all while you're not in the planning mode.
Right.
So like the regular melee attack is like super slow if you're just in real time. So the way I play it is I have the dash as my only skill that I use while I'm not in pause, and that just lets me stay out of the way basically until I'm ready to set up
plan.
And that recharges if you've used it. So you have to so I just dash around and stay out of the combat. And then you use the pause mode to set up your actual attacks. But some people would suggest that what they do is if you attach the dash skill as an upgrade to one of the skills, that makes it come out much faster in real time, so you can use it like a regular attack.
Huh, I see.
So people have been suggesting that they do that, but I don't think...
Surely from what I know about that game, surely getting out of the way and not getting hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Is far more important.
Yeah, I just think, because you move really slow, and by default, your like regular walking speed is pretty much a walking speed. It's not running.
Yeah.
So I don't see how that can possibly work. And also, because you only have one copy of that dash skill, you can only make one of your attacks effective in real time or whatever. So yeah, I don't understand that method, but that's not the way I played it anyway. I used the tactical method, where you just pause and then set up some attacks and then
run around for a bit.
And then just stay out of the way. Although staying out of the way, the trouble with this system is, this is something else a lot of people have been saying, is that if you're playing it this way with the pause and set up attacks or whatever, because you're waiting for that to recharge, you are literally just waiting. You're just like, in my case, you're just dashing around to stay out of the way, or sometimes you can just pretty much just stand there. Because sometimes the enemies are incredibly unintelligent and just can't see you if you're behind cover, so you're just like, I'm just going to stand here for 10 seconds while this bar refills, and then trigger my thing.
And murder them all again.
So yeah, that is kind of dumb, in a way. That it's like...
So, like, yeah, I suppose the problem with it is that you just don't have enough capability in real-time mode.
Yeah, there's not really anything to do.
Yeah.
Even if you have an active skill, it's only one, and that's maybe not very effective.
It's not like the sort of equivalent I'm trying to think of. It's probably Fallout, isn't it? Where, like, you go into VATS, something insane happens, but then you can only use that a certain amount. Or can you just use it all the time? I can't remember.
You can only stack up so many commands in Fallout VATS. I can't remember what the system is.
No. But then you can also fight pretty capably outside.
Pretty capably.
Not as.
Arguably.
Yeah, probably not as capably as VATSing everything.
Yeah, exactly.
VATSing.
So yeah, it's like VATS only without the real-time capability, I suppose. So yeah, it's an interesting system to set up these weird combinations, and you can experiment, and it kind of inherently sort of pushes you to experiment by having each of the functions you have for your weapon is like attached to a biography of a person. And
yeah, that sounds really interesting.
And 1/3 of the biography unlocks when you use it in the active, and then in the passive, and then in the upgrade. So you have to use each of the skills in each of the slots to be able to see the whole biography. Although really the biographies aren't that tied to the story. There's some
they just sort of world building-y things.
Sort of, but not that much, I guess. Because it's like it tells you about the person that this function is based on, and it's like here's their backstory and how they got involved with what's happening now. Which is to say, getting absorbed into the sword at some point. But it's like, that's not... Most of them don't really tell you anything about the reason why that happened. It's just like, because they had this skill in the real world, it's like they make this skill in the sword, and that's the only reason for this to have happened.
Yeah.
And then the actual story is like, sort of why the sword was created in the first place, and like, why they were going around collecting all the skills for it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so the biographies don't really tell you that much about it. So it's almost not that important to get all the biographies.
Because isn't the story itself kind of not direct?
Well, yeah, because it's not really, your character doesn't really know. Well, the sword, I guess, is the one that does all the talking, because the actual woman is mute or whatever. But yeah, you don't really know what's going on. You're trying to find out, and then you sort of find out, maybe-ish, if you can interpret it the way that you want to interpret it.
Yeah, it seems interesting. I don't know if that's... It depends how it's done on whether you will probably feel that that's a good approach or a bad approach.
Yeah.
Because it could go either way.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, I don't know. It seemed like a lot of people were annoyed by... sort of spoilers, I guess, but like,
spoiler alert.
They would some people were sort of annoyed of how, like, at the start of the game, it's like you're going after these 4 guys because they were the people who were trying to assassinate you or whatever, and it shows them in like a nice picture, and it's like, here's the 4 dudes, and they obviously maybe they're different characters or whatever, and they have different attributes, and then you do fight the first one like as a boss, like the first real boss of the game, and you fight her, and then you defeat her, and you steal her power or whatever, and then it kind of cops out on that. It's like the other 3, it's just like,
they're gone by now.
So it's like they set up the 4 bad guys you're going to have to go and kill, and then it's like, well, you got the first one, don't worry about those other 3.
Is it because something bigger comes up? Or?
Sort of, but not really. I mean, they're still around, but then it kind of cops out of actually fighting them, and then you do fight the last one or whatever. It's weird.
I think I would find it weird because they've got the same cast back, haven't they?
The same voice acted guy.
Yeah, they've got narrator man playing the sword.
I'm fairly sure it's kind of a different...
he's putting a different accent on it.
Well, it's a different way of... It's like it's not a narrator, because it's actually in the world.
The sword is in place, isn't it? The sword is talking...
This is a character that's in the game, right? Yeah.
Even though the narrator is technically...
Oh, yeah, of course. But he was just chilling out, wasn't he, at the Bastion most of the time?
The Bastion.
But yeah, maybe that would be kind of weird for you. I don't know. I didn't play it.
I don't think it would be a problem. It's just like it sort of maybe sort of a little a little strange at first, going, it's a fucking narrator.
Possible.
I forget what his name is. He's like Logan something.
Yeah,
He has a cool name as well.
But then I think my other actual sort of problem with the game in general, which is more of an aesthetic one, is like they have this like aesthetic, which is pretty awesome, I guess. It looks nice. It's a nice looking game.
Mm.
But the trouble is that the storyline of this thing is basically the city or the world is getting fucked up by the process, which is these like the enemies you fight basically, like these white robots. But what do the white robots do? Well, they turn everything into white blocks. So at the start of the game, you've got this really cool, like, dark, colourful city, and by the end, it's like you're just in the big land of white. It's like they kind of ruined their own aesthetic by the process of the story.
Yeah, I'd want to see how that pans out, but you might be right. Yeah. I suppose because they're still doing it's the same art direction as Bastion, I guess, isn't it? So it's the same sort of. I want to call it painterly-ish.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was... And then by the time I got to the start of New Game Plus, I basically found my ultimate solution to the combat. And, you know, it might not be the ultimate solution, it might not be everyone's ultimate solution, but it was pretty goddamn effective. And so basically made the New Game Plus playthrough incredibly easy.
Right.
Because I had to basically just, no matter what the enemy was, same plan, and executed it in exactly the same way.
So does New Game Plus only really work, or recursion, does it only work once? Or
well, you can do it as many times as you want, but it's not...
It doesn't get harder?
No.
Right.
Well, theoretically it does a little bit, because there's like, through the story, the enemies start upgrading, so they get different effects. And you haven't seen all of the upgrades by the end, or maybe you have. Well, the enemies get slightly harder anyway.
Okay.
So and obviously more the enemies that spawn at the start of the game they start from upgraded rather than being shit again.
Is it randomized as well, or?
I don't know because I haven't really been through it enough to see.
Yeah.
But you can like. It's a bit weird because there's some parts where in the first time through the story, it's introducing new enemies at specific points. So it's like, here's the artillery enemy, and then you have a section where you fight them. But then when you go through the recursion, it's like, I've already fought several of these by the time I've got to this point in the recursion. So yeah, that's a bit strange. And also, you can turn, like in Bastion, you can turn on the hard difficulty increases, which are called limiters in this.
Like skull type things, yeah.
Yeah, the skull type things.
Oh, what's it, the shrine stuff?
They're not, I mean... I don't...
Idols, that was it, idols.
I don't think they're actually that fun to play with, really. I mean, the trouble is that like there's some of them that are almost irrelevant in the classic way, where it's like, you might as well just turn that on because it's not anything very difficult. It's like, when you defeat an enemy, it pops out a little cell, and then if you don't physically pick up that cell before a timer goes down, it respawns, basically.
Oh, really?
So you have to, like, collect the things that pop out of the enemies to prevent them from just coming back.
Finishing blow.
Yeah, basically, sort of. But then, like, so one of the limiters is sometimes enemies will spawn 2 cells. It's like, that's not actually difficult at all. That just means they have to walk, like, 2 steps further to pick up the second cell.
Well, yeah, unless you're in a particularly hard fight and you fuck up and then you get 2 of them instead of 1.
Well, I don't know if multiples will spawn back out of them, but I guess that's possible.
Why would it happen otherwise?
Yeah, I guess. But then, so it's like, that's not actually that difficult to deal with at all.
Yeah.
But then some of them are, like, excessively difficult to deal with in other ways. And then, so it's like, with these 10 limiters, it's like 50% of them are too easy and 50% of them are too hard.
Well, that was true of Bastion as well.
Well, yeah, I guess.
There was quite a range. Some of them I just had on all the time, but
then it's also,
some of them you put them on and it's like, fuck me, that's really hard.
But then also it's just like, it's basically pointless because you don't need to level up faster.
Right.
You don't give you like 2% more experience. Woo! I don't really need to level up any quicker. I don't think I played most of the first run through with virtually any of them turned on, and I still got all the functions by the end.
So is there not can you start the game over in a harder state? So that you start from scratch, but you know, it's just more difficult, like you get dealt more damage, or...
Well, I think that is what the New Game Plus was trying to do, with just having with having the harder enemies from the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, because it sounds like you're finding it quite easy.
Well, it's because I'd come across the ultimate combo.
Right.
Once I'd found that strategy. Because, I mean, The other thing people have complained about a lot is the way it deals with like dying, which is like when your health bar goes down. When your health bar goes down, if your turn bar is full, which is the thing that lets you pause, if your bar is full, it immediately jumps into that, so you can basically get out of jail,
Sure.
or whatever. Have one turn to escape. If it's not full, the sword overloads and it just disables one of your functions. So one of your 4 abilities just gets disabled. But then that's like permanent. Well, permanent for the next 2 checkpoints, basically. So you have to fight through at least 2 more fights with at least one of your things disabled.
Huh.
And then the more times you die, the more of your things get disabled.
So is there like an end state where you just cut?
Well, yeah, once all your shit's overloaded, you just die. And then it reloads the checkpoint. But then so people have been saying, like, well, if one of my things overloads, I just reload the checkpoint, because it's not fun to try and struggle through with less than your actual maximum amount of available skills.
I suppose it depends on how it ends up playing out, but I mean, it could be interesting, like, you know, like in a sort of challenge mode sort of way.
That's why the challenge rooms exist, I would say, because then those are the places where it limits what functions you have or how many you have.
Okay.
And that's maybe there should just have been more of those challenge rooms. That would have been cool, because there's not very many of them actually. But I don't think that system in the actual gameplay is that great. And then so there's limiters where it's like, oh, now if you are about to die, it doesn't automatically go into the pause mode, or if you overload, I can't remember what the overload one is. I think it's like if you overload, like more of your functions overload at once. It's just like, that's that's even worse. You just reload the checkpoint then as well.
I suppose it's something in case you there's multiple fights between you and a checkpoint, so there's a chance you can make it without having to replay the whole thing.
Well, yeah, but
which, for some people is going to be more,
especially if it's like
more accessible
than
just replaying the whole section.
But the trouble with it is that there's a checkpoint after every fight, so it's the next 2. You have to go through 2 more fights if you've overloaded to get those functions back. So
I see. So then you could go back to the checkpoint and still be overloaded. Like if you played one fight.
Well, yeah, for the next 2 checkpoints, yeah.
That might be.
Well, you don't go back to the checkpoint; it's the next checkpoint. So what I'm basically saying is because it's the next 2 checkpoints and you're always guaranteed to have 2 more fights. If you overload, you might as well just reload the last checkpoint you're at, because there's no. If you haven't gone past another checkpoint, you're not in the overload state, and you haven't done more than one fight to be overloaded. So you might as well always reload. It's a bit of a dumb system, really.
Yeah.
And there's no penalty to reloading, obviously.
I think that maybe made sense if there wasn't checkpoints between each fight.
Yeah.
Then that system kind of would make a bit of sense, that it's a punishment for dying. Whereas dying, it seems, would be simpler with a checkpoint after every fight.
Yep. That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It's a bit of a duff system. But it's fine. You just don't die. It's fine. I did have a couple of times when I was going through the story where I overloaded and carried on. There was actually one where it was in a boss fight, and I'd set it up so I only had 3 skills, because I'd stacked the effects more on. So I didn't have enough functions to have all 4 skills and have the added effects on the first 3.
Sure.
Because you're limited by memory, so how many of these functions you can install at once. And my main attack skill overloaded, and I was like, "Fuck!" Because obviously I have the dash as one skill, so that's that doesn't do any damage. And then I only had my shitty attack skill left, but I still continued with that boss fight and chipped my way through it, and that was actually challenging, I guess, made it different. But I probably could have just reloaded; it would have been much easier.
Yeah,
that's why you want the challenge rooms.
Yeah. It sounds like an interesting enough system to, so the challenge stuff would probably provide you with those puzzly elements.
Yeah, and it's interesting to experiment, but eventually you're going to find what you consider the ultimate combo. And some of the skills are a bit I couldn't find uses for them even when I was experimenting. There's the thing where you can turn enemies to your side temporarily. But it lasts such a short amount of time that it's barely worth the amount of time it takes for you to do it. And also, while they're on your team, you can't damage them. So originally I thought I'll put that as a passive on one of my regular attacks. So every time I shoot them, they turn to my side temporarily and kill the enemies. But then you kind of have to also have another attack you can actually damage them with without turning to your side. Because otherwise, every time you shoot them, they turn to your side, and then you can't shoot them again until that wears off. Which makes it a lot slower, because you have to you can only do one shot at a time and actually damage them. So yeah, that was kind of that skill's kind of air. And then there's one where it creates like a little explosion of grenades, I guess. They come out and then it does a little error of effect. But that's really... It tells you, when you're in the pause mode, it tells you theoretically how much damage each skill should do. But that's only theoretical.
Right.
So, like, enemies will move out of the way when time restarts, because they're still moving just really slowly. So if you haven't aimed exactly right, your shot can miss or whatever. Or if you knock them back, that will change where enemies were.
You mean during the execute?
Yeah, during the execute phase. So, like, that error of effect skill, I virtually never get as much damage out of it as it should, because, like, it hits the enemy directly, and then the grenades come out, but then they don't necessarily all hit for maximum damage or whatever.
Yeah.
So that skill is almost... I found that almost useless as a main attack skill, although its buff, its, like, upgrade effect is much more useful. It basically splits any other attack.
Okay, that sounds useful.
So, yeah. It's a matter of finding which skills you are actually... You know, you find the combo and then you're pretty much good. You find a way to do it. My way was... I had...
Don't spoil it.
Well, I'm not going to spoil... I'm going to tell you the combo. It's not going to necessarily spoil it.
I don't know, because... if people know it's good, then they might, like...
Well, I won't name the functions then, because that will at least obscure which ones they were. So I had the dash. I had a thing attached to the dash that created a gravity well that sucked enemies in as I dashed away. So that was useful for collecting all the enemies into a big lump.
Right.
And then also while I was dashing, a little, like, projectile comes out that hunts down an enemy and then, like, does a little bit of damage over time as well, which is useful for getting rid of, like, low health enemies, basically. So as I'm dashing around in the avoidance phase. And then I only needed 2 attacks from then, where basically, once they'd all been clumped together by the gravity well, just drop a debuff on them, and then do an error effect attack that hits everything with tons of damage. Problem solved.
Yeah,
that was how I got through pretty much the whole of New Game Plus. Also, that error effect attack heals you as well.
Wow.
So whenever I took damage, it was just like, no, that's not going to be a problem. Just get all my health back. So, okay, actual spoilers, I guess, for the skills. The health absorbing one is well overpowered. Not even necessarily for the amount of health you get, but just for the amount of damage it does.
Right. Bounces a little off.
Yeah. So there you go.
But overall,
it's pretty good.
Recommend,
I guess.
Okay.
Sounds good.
It's like Bastion, I suppose.
I do want to play it, just because it sounds interesting. At least I have to commend them for trying some systems that don't sound like they've been totally done before.
Maybe. I mean,
for a sort of turn-based fight mechanic.
Yeah, I guess. And like the skill system is pretty cool. I mean, that's not necessarily an incredibly innovative thing, I guess, having skills that stack on the other skills.
I don't know. It's kind of rare.
Is it?
I'm not sure you see it.
It's weird that it's like, I don't think it's that unusual, but it's probably not been done that much. It doesn't seem like a thing that should have been very difficult for someone to come up with at some point, and yet we're still in 2014, and it's only just happened.
Yeah, I can't really think of a good... Well, I suppose it's because it's a reasonable amount of work to put in all the combos. Like, if you ever...
Sort of, but there's only 16 of them.
Yeah. But...
And 3 different things they can do. I guess that is actually quite a lot.
It's quite a lot, yeah. Yeah, I can't think of a good alternative. Like, I don't know. The only system that springs to mind is the spell mixing in Magicka.
Or Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, well, there's even fewer in that. Yeah.
But yeah. It seems like that system shouldn't be very rare, but apparently it is.
Yeah.
I guess. But it's good,
I suppose. Transistor!
Yep.
Saladcast recommend.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. It might be one of those games that we kind of have to play just because what the fuck else is there interesting this year?
I guess. That might have some nomination for some kind of Game of the Year category. Like graphics.
Maybe in the visuals, yeah.
Soundtrack, maybe? Because, Bastion's soundtrack is tight.
The soundtrack is weird because it's like, it's pretty good. And I like the songs in most of the cases. And
it's just the same guy who did Transistor because, everyone's the same.
And it's, it's a night, the tunes are okay and the way it mixes with the sort of environments you're in, I guess. I wouldn't call it maybe story progress or whatever. like the dramatic moments, you have slightly more dramatic, the boss fight, more dramatic music or whatever. But my main problem with it is when you go into the pause mode, it goes into humming mode.
Yeah.
Where while you're in pause mode, it's basically playing the same music track, only it fades out the music and fades in like the woman humming.
Huh.
But that's kind of really annoying. I'd rather just be hearing the music, because 90% of the time, I'm not hearing the music while I'm in the fight. I'm hearing the humming version of the music. And then a split second of like 5 seconds while on my thing's recharging of the actual track.
Right. So it might be one of those soundtracks that's better when you get the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's probably better to listen to. I mean, the humming versions have their own, like, those are okay too. It's just like I would have preferred to hear the actual music for the majority of the time rather than the humming music for the majority of the time.
I wonder if they'll make that an option. Like patch that in.
I don't know, that'd be kind of weird in itself.
Like no hum.
Because the humming thing is meant, what do you call that? When it like fades out, not really fades out, like
filters?
It does like a cut off or whatever to the actual music while you're in the pause.
I mean, they could still do that, but perhaps get rid of the hum or just volume it down.
Yeah, maybe. So it's pretty good.
That sounds cool.
Yes.
I'm hearing nothing that puts me off it.
Well,
no, it's all sounding pretty good. Given your standard kind of, I've spent loads and loads of time playing this game, but here's what's wrong with it.
Not really that much time. Let's be honest, it's only a shortish game.
Well, yeah, but this is this is how we review here at the Saladcast. This is
exactly
longer than Bastion, at least supposedly. I'd call it about 8 hours to get through the normal story.
Well, Bastion could take about 8 hours.
Yeah. Some people have been suggesting that Transistor is like super short, like less than 8 hours, and I'm like, I'm not sure exactly how you got through it quite that quickly, but there'll always be people who get through it ridiculously quickly somehow. Maybe they just happened across the better combos earlier. Because you do get
the challenges, or
well, maybe, but you do get to choose which. Basically, every time you level up, you get to choose like normally one of two of the new functions to unlock. So you don't necessarily. Not everyone doesn't necessarily get them in the same order.
Right. They're the same as Bastion again.
So there is a small amount of choice. So
apart from the weapons.
Maybe if they happen to pick the health recharging one earlier, that I think is well overpowered or something, maybe that would have made them get through quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
Maybe you don't get the health one if you want a challenge.
Well, you get them all eventually. And then you get duplicates.
Double health.
Yep.
Stack health on health.
I don't know what that does. I can't remember what the upgrade effect of the health one is. I think it is just more health and something. Oh, and also, speaking of, I guess, another pro tip of functions to avoid, like I was saying about the turns them to your team one. As cool as it might sound, don't bother with the one that's a launcher. Because there's one attack that, or don't bother with it as an active skill or on a non-finishing move, basically. Because what it does is, in its active skill, it's like a launcher. It hits enemies up in the air and does quite a lot of damage. And the damage is awesome. Like, it does a load of damage compared to most of the other skills you've had up to that point. And then as an upgrade, it basically upgrades the damage of most skills and also turns them into a launcher, only less of a launcher.
Right.
So you might think that a launcher is kind of good, because it's like you get the enemies out of the way for a while.
Yeah.
fly them into the air. Except it doesn't really work, because particularly... Well, the one enemy that's really noticeable with it is the dog enemies, which are like fast and they run up to you and then melee you, basically. So they're really annoying to evade, basically. Most of the time when you're evading, that's what you're evading.
Right.
Those fucking dogs. So I was like, well, I can use a launcher and just hit them into the air, and then that will get them out of the way, and then I can move out of the way, and that will help. But you hit them in the air, but they can still move in the air, so it kind of removes the whole point of launching them.
Oh, weird.
Wow.
So they just drop down right on top of you.
Dogs of air control.
Yep. So don't use that as a primary skill. Use it as a buff, but then only use it as a buff on like your finishing move, because then it knocks all the enemies into the air, and then you can't hit them any longer.
Yeah.
Don't use that as a leading move.
You're like, I can't do anything for a while.
It's not even that long. But if you're in the pause mode and you lead with that, and then you're like, well, I'm going to stack up all these other attacks on this enemy. Except that doesn't work because they've already flown out of the way after their first attack.
Yeah.
You kind of have to think about that.
That's cool.
The same applies for anything that does knock back, like the explosion.
Yeah, because then surely it screws up your plan.
Yeah, you have to... Although, alternately, if you want to be super stylish, you can do... I was using it for a little while. There's an attack that does more damage the further away the enemies are, and it pulls the enemy to where you are. So what I was doing is like shooting an enemy with it to pull them where I was, while in pause mode this is. Aim at an enemy to pull them to where you are, dash away, aim at where you just were and use the pull attack again. So you just alternate between dashing and pulling, and then obviously you have to manually aim this because the enemy isn't where you're aiming during the pause mode. So you kind of have to work out where they're going to be after they've been teleported, but then you can chain it together and just do like quite a lot of damage by just dash and pull and dash and pull. It's quite a funky tactic.
Cool.
Sounds
like fun.
So yeah, that's Transistor. Let's end this podcast, which has gone way too long, so we can get pizza.
It has gone long. Anyone got any E3 predictions or wants?
Some fucking games. Jesus.
Yeah, I want some game. I want both Microsoft and Sony to say, "Here's what the bloody hell is going to happen over the next year."
Yeah, there's nothing to predict because we don't know anything at all at the moment.
I mean, we know Halo's coming out in 2015. So what the hell is this Master Chief Collection actually?
Yeah,
it's like, what's happening with that? I suppose Sunset Overdrive will get a spot. Because that's supposed to be this year.
Yeah,
definitely.
Which could be interesting. Destiny will presumably...
Yeah, Destiny will probably be the big game of the show, I suppose, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Where are they going to be? That's the question. Are they going to be at both of them?
They'll be at Sony, yeah. I would say.
Yeah, they'll almost certainly be at Sony. Because there is going to be an Xbox version, but it's...
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah. There'll be a 360 version.
But I think Sony are trying to court them, come to our side.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know. Maybe they'll announce some things that are way off that are like, that you didn't.
Yeah, but we don't need any more way off announcements. That's the trouble. We've got too many of those.
Got a few of those. Well, presumably the Crew, like at Ubisoft, will get a date. Maybe
and that other shooting game.
That other shooting game.
I can't remember what that.
Well, the Division's not this year anymore. Division is now.
That's going to have another spot for some guys.
That might have a spot, yeah, but that's definitely 2015 now.
Yeah.
That's not.
Who cares about the Crew? God damn it.
Yeah.
Who cares about Drive Club?
Drive Club as well. Yeah. Don't care.
That seems like that game should have already come out.
Yeah. Well, it sort of does. It sort of is. There's a version you can get if you're a PS Plus subscriber, but it's not the whole package.
Yeah.
It's like Drive Club for Real comes out later this year, which presumably gives the PS4 something to fight against Forza.
Sort of.
But it depends if it's any good.
Don't hold out much hope for Drive Club, personally.
I mean, I really hope we hear something about Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome if they announce that.
Yeah, I really hope we hear something about that. But again, probably a way off.
Yeah.
Ninty hasn't got a lot on its plate right now because
there's that.
All we know is Smash Brothers and that new Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah, the Dynasty Warriors crosses over.
Yeah, but presumably Ninty aren't really working on that.
Well, presumably, but they.
So what are they doing?
It's been suggested quite a lot that Nintendo are actually working on an actual Zelda game.
Well, yeah. So it's probably quite likely that surfaces. But what else are they working on? Because it's like.
That'll be a end of. Oh, they're not even doing a press conference, are they? So
they'll be doing their
end.
They'll be doing their direct. Yeah.
Right, Nintendo Direct. So do you think Shigsy will come out at the end with a sword, standard style, saying, "Oh, there's a Zelda coming"? Or is he?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, is there going to be some new actual Mario game on the cards, or is there going to be an F-Zero? Fuck yeah.
It's not going to happen, man. That would be awesome, though.
It's like, even if F-Zero is announced, it's not going to be the F-Zero I want because Amusement Vision won't be making it.
Yeah, it's like the only things that would be unusual for Nintendo that we'd be excited about would be like a new F-Zero and a new Metroid. But in both cases, it wouldn't be as good as the old ones.
Yeah, well, Metroid needs to go a new direction. A new Star Fox, I would be fucking over the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
A proper Star Fox.
That could happen.
I would be over the moon.
Wii U controller.
I don't know.
They could give that to some
the
team,
time is right for... Yeah, the time is kind of right for Ninty to do something awesome because we don't know
the time is right for Nintendo to continue to make the same franchises again, only the other franchises that they haven't made again.
Yeah, but they've got...
the alternate year.
But I mean, as far as we know, they have a lot of teams doing nothing right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what's cooking at the scene.
What's going on?
Scene.
Whatever that means.
I don't know. You know, we had a lot of releases like in the Wii U, sort of semi-recently. Like Retro are no longer working on Donkey Kong because that came out. The Mario team obviously released Super Mario World late last year, so presumably they won't have anything yet. But what are they doing now? Speaking
of things that are meant to be coming out for the Wii U, Intelligent Systems are making a push mode for the Wii U.
Oh yeah.
So maybe once they've done that, they can go back to fucking Advance Wars.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realise Intelligent Systems were behind push mode.
Yeah, it sucks. Because they're doing that instead of making fucking Advance Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Push Mode is an okay game. People seem to like it.
People love it, yeah. I've never played it, but...
that ain't no Advance Wars, though. It's totally
exactly. So yeah, that's basically what we want from Nintendo. We want the games that we like that they don't make as often.
They don't make anymore. Yes.
Or something completely left field. I would be totally up for Ninty doing that.
Well, you know, as long as they don't do something left field that's like nothing to do with fucking games, because that's
non-wearables.
So yeah, that's the thing that we want to see. What's going to happen at the E3 for Nintendo? Non-wearables.
They might not do that at E3. Or the Direct. I think they'll keep that. Depending on what that is, they might keep that away from the normal channels.
Yeah, surely E3 is the time to show off something new, even if it's weird.
It's gaming. Yeah. If it's gaming, yes, that is the place to do it. If it's not, Wii Fit is skating the lines of being interesting there, I suppose. Even though, of being relevant to E3.
Well,
Microsoft have done it, but I'm not saying that's the right place for it.
Microsoft do a load of TV stuff, so, I mean...
yeah.
If it's tangentially related to the Wii U console, then I suppose they can get away with it.
I suppose it is electronic entertainment.
That's true. Doesn't matter what kind of entertainment, as long as it's electronic.
By that logic, it should be like the iPod show.
Sure.
Yeah, hopefully games all the way. I guess that's what we want. So, Beats made by Dre and Apple combined.
Yeah. Dr. Apple. Still,
right, I think we should end this podcast. I think still.
I'm still DRE.
Yep. To sell the beats.
Just go back to rap.
That would be so cool if he was like, "Yeah, I made all my cash."
I'm sure he had
going back to rapping, man.
To do with making headphones.
Yeah, not just because he's Dr. Dre and his as a name.
Yeah. Okay then.
Is it still Beats by Dre or is it just Beats?
I think they gave up on the by. Unless by Dre was like a special edition.
It's called Beats Audio now, but Dr. Dre is kind of the head of it, I think.
Yeah, he runs it, yeah.
Presumably he had the capital to start that shit, though. Maybe it's
exactly.
He probably doesn't make the headphones, but he probably makes them sound gangster or something, suitable for fat rap.
Okay.
Fat rap, the best kind.
The lyrical flow.
The lyrical flow. Right, thanks for joining us, listeners, for this Saladcast, which has gone long. Catch us next time for E3 actual non-predictions. They're not predictions because there'll be actual news at that point.
The order. Stuff will come up about that.
Maybe. Indeed, stuff will come up about that. And if you want to hear about that, tune in next time. But for now, bye, guys.
Still.